My wife told me she thought we'd have less arguments if I wasn't so pedantic. I told her, I think you mean fewer.
I like Davos Seaworthy. He's like one of the few characters I wanted to survive to the end, and he did.
Yeah, he did.
To be fair, when you get to those last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, there's only like 2 or 3 characters anyone actually cares about.
Well, yeah. Well, everyone has fucking plot armor like as thick as steel by that point.
Well, that's the sad thing, because they had kind of proved. Okay, when George R. Martin was writing it, they kind of proved that plot armor wasn't a thing. Because, like, in theory,
that was the whole appeal of it, that no one was safe. And then by season 8, it was like, oh, everyone's safe, apart from 2 or 3.
Well, that was the irony, because by any normal metric, Ned Stark would have been the quote unquote hero.
Yeah,
at least up to that point, and then it's like, but then
he gets bumped off, and you go, oh, what's going on here?
Bumped off in book 1. Then it's like
Sam Tarly manages to survive somehow.
Yeah. And it's like,
oh yeah, he fights fucking White Walkers and shit.
Yeah. Well, I think the ultimate plan for him was he was just going to become like a maester and turn up again at the end and be like, yeah, I'm like your religious leader now for like this section of the wall or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that was what he was meant to be.
Yeah, that's where the book was.
He's got to get Meister training to then be the Meister at the wall.
That was where they were pushing him. But then it's like, obviously they kind of changed. It's like, oh no, I'm going to take my dad's sword. I'm going to go off with my woman and her inbred incest baby, because I don't think it was his.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't his.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
Who was the bloke beyond the wall?
Whatever his name was.
Yeah,
Mance Raider.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Mance Raider?
No, Mance Raider's the head of the wildlings.
The wildlings, yeah.
This little fort, and he basically signs all the bastards.
Caster's Creep.
Like his wife.
Caster, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like it's all like their daughters and granddaughters, and he's doing.
And he's given the men babies to the white,
which they never really went into again after that.
No.
It's just like,
that's the case.
No.
Yeah, it seemed like an interesting idea about why the White Walkers do what they do, and then in the end, it was just, he just wants to delete the world.
I don't know. It was just a weird, and I never quite.
They just want to erase history. Okay, great. So they're just basically the bad guys that George R. Martin said. Lord of the Rings is clear black and white, whereas none of my villains are. But yet the Night King turned out to just be
all the White Walkers. Then.
The problem is
we're evil.
I'm evil.
The thing is, I can see what George R. R. Martin was doing. I say was because he hasn't done anything to write the next book. So
exactly. God knows what he's up to.
But based on everything that's happened so far,
all the shit that isn't the story,
it's kind of like what he's doing is he's giving you like this is an absolute objective evil. So that way, it's like an evil with no morality. So you don't have to give him.
It's basically like a metaphor for like a fucking like super weapon kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like
you can't reason with it, you can't negotiate with it. It's just nature. Yeah.
Yeah, because the entire point is then when you look at like someone like say Cersei, who's an evil cunt all the way through, it makes it look objectively worse because she's deliberately being evil, whereas the White Walkers are we're just evil zombies.
Just want everything to be us or dead. One of the two, it's more of a primal thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why does it feel like Sansa just the whole battle, that whole dark battle, where you had to turn your brightness up on the telly to be able to see anything.
Oh, what a fucking
sees anyway.
The Battle of the Long Night,
and then she turns up at the end and like stabs him and he's dead, and it was just all a bit like.
Oh, what Arya?
Seems really. That's what I
mean.
Arya. She had literally nothing to do with that storyline either. It was
where did the Red Woman's prophecy come into play about her?
Well, it didn't. What happened was the idea was reading into it based on what's happened so far in the books and ignoring what happens in the TV show.
Okay.
The idea is probably, I say probably because we'll probably never know.
You have to have fire to push back ice.
Yeah, and Jon Snow is basically he is the one who's going to fight because the thing is, in the book there isn't a head White Walker or anything. There isn't one.
No, it's not.
There's just the White Walkers are just a force, and that's it.
Or the others, as they're called in the books. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like he will probably end up like being what stops them from taking over, but it won't be like a great big cinematic battle against like a leader of the White Walkers. But
That
again,
doesn't make good entertaining watching.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, it's
Yeah, sometimes the books you have to translate and be like,
so giving them a leader in that White Walker, but that would have been Jon Snow killing him as a very symbolic thing.
Well, yeah. Well, I still think they fucked that up with the show. It's like, this is the very first scene of the whole series is to do with the White Walkers. That's how the very last scene of it should have been, as far as I'm concerned. Because it's like, fuck your political machinations. We've got some serious nuclear shit going on.
It's going to be the moral, wasn't it? It was like, it doesn't matter what the Game of Thrones is going on, this is a much bigger problem.
For everyone.
That's how.
And then
you get the contrast.
There was no payoff with that.
No, it was one battle. Like, come on, they didn't even get past Winterfell. You fucking having a laugh? You know, it was just like.
They should have been knocking on the gates of King's Landing. They should have really gone to town and made that final season really fucking miserable.
Yeah.
They should have gone through, like, you know, seeing what's his face from the river people. I can't remember the bloody name. Bradley
Walter Frey.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he gets his comeuppance from Arya anyway, but it would have been sort of like, you know, all these different places. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're an arsehole or a good guy.
Yeah.
These things come wiping.
But that's the thing as well. It's like she became so OP. Like, she kills Walder Frey. She kills fucking Littlefinger. She kills the Night King. It's like, come on. You know, why is she killing all these? I know they had this thing of she's like a faceless man, and now she isn't. But then she was anyway.
In terms of like what the Red Woman does say is that she is like responsible for a lot of death, and I suppose she does kill a lot of people towards the end. I'm just clutching at straws trying to fit
what you're doing is forgiving bad show writing,
that's true.
and that's the thing. Because again, if the White Walkers, the zombified undead from beyond the wall, are literally just a contrast, so you can see how good or bad people are. Because if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense when you think of it that way. Because all the big stuff is happening, like, you know, King's Landing, Winterfell, all these places in between, people dealing with each other and all the political machinations, all the shit they're doing to each other, and it just for like little points here and there. That's what shows them to be various shades of bad. Because again, like Ned Stark and debatably and Jon Snow are probably the only two genuinely good people, and even then you could argue Jon Snow's not really that good. It's like Ned Stark was probably the only quote unquote good one, and even then he wasn't even that good, and he got killed in book 1.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think he's trying to portray the real world.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Shades of.
It's like the White Walkers are there just to help contrast. They're not actually going to be they were never actually.
They're designed to be the dark.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at the darkness. This is the darkness.
That is actual proper evil.
Supernatural evil.
Normal. You think it's normal.
Yeah.
You know.
And I suppose that's the symbolic, the long night.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it was never meant, but you're right, it's probably meant to be like, at the very end, everyone comes together because they can push past their own personal things to be together to beat the long night. We'll never know, because of George R. R. Martin.
Also, why did they send us the Dothraki to their death?
Because
they respawned again a week later.
Yeah. Because Benioff and Weiss don't know how to write.
Yeah, well, when the source material ran, it was a bit like...
You send all the Dothraki to die. It's like, you know what? If you had any
No, they're good at adapting other people's work. Yeah. When I fall, up until when the books finish, what they've adapted of George R. R. Martin's work is good. It's only when they have to come up with their own bits, and it's like prose notes from...
Well, like 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, kind of
source material.
Oh, okay, we're now just filling crap.
But even so, it's like, you wouldn't have taken like rocket science. Like, okay, let's take the long night, the Battle of Winterfell, right? Literally just the 2-3 episodes for that, right?
Yeah, deliberately make it a little bit brighter because no one can see shit.
Yeah, actually brighter. Yeah.
What came out a few years, not that many years beforehand? What is it? oh, what fucking Lord of the Rings? Oh, what happens? Oh, well, the Orc army engages Minas Tirith, then Rohan rides in and then wipes them out. It's not rocket science, basically, to redo that, almost literally beat for beat, you know.
Well, they basically did that with the Battle of the Bastards, though, didn't they? When
Well,
like
they
They
kind of did.
did, yeah. They're looking at it like they're about to lose, and then they come in and save the day.
and then, yeah, exactly. And then the Iron Island, not the Iron Islands, the Erie army of the Erie come in.
But then you set it up as literally a case of like, right, okay, well, this is our plan. We wait for the undead to attack Winterfell, then we ride in and charge them from behind or whatever with dragons, because dragons are cool. And it's like,
Yeah,
don't
the
get me wrong.
dragons are way overpowered. I would say overpowered. They are the super weapons of that.
Yeah, they're the super weapons of the setting, because there's, okay, yes, you have to have like a fucking giant, great big shit-mounted crossbow or something.
I also like the fact that like the Night King got a bloody dragon, which then suddenly became like an ice zombie dragon. Okay, cool. And then did fuck all.
Yeah, it just broke through. It broke through the wall, and then it roared at Jon Snow, and that was it. And it's like, come on, man!
So there
It
wasn't
should
like, did it even
It should have
like,
overwrought everything.
it did get killed in the battle, didn't it?
I think it died because the Night King died rather than
Yeah,
something.
that's why it only died because Super Arya saved the day.
Because it was always
John Cena.
it's a bit ropey because they never really established that. Oh, yeah, killing. They always kind of when they do stuff like this, it's always a bit ropey. But it's like, oh yeah, you kill like the leader and everything else dies. It's kind of like
Yeah, there was a throwaway line in like an episode in series 7 where they were like, you kill one and you kill him and then you kill all of them. But why?
It is. It's kind of like you can forgive it in certain things where it's.
To be
like,
fair, it's always he's an unstoppable force, and
Yeah.
you need it is your get out of jail. Oh yeah, he's the necromancer that's bringing everyone back to life. If you kill him, it's his power that's sustaining all of them.
He's the first one.
But who the
he's
fuck
last.
the other 5 that are with him?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
You know, I mean, you go, well, surely they're all what he is.
Yeah.
But
Well,
The thing,
The whole-
he was the original one because they did that thing of the children of the forest needed to make a weapon to fight against the men, and it ended up becoming too powerful, and then he made the rest of them.
yeah.
And the whites are like, they're not white walkers.
there's a whole season I think I've missed.
I
Or I've definitely watched it and my brain's deleted.
He's
Like,
probably
I
brains
could-
deleted.
I genuinely
I don't blame you.
the whole thing, you know, like of Jon Snow fighting at the wall. Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that fight. I didn't even realise it had happened. I was watching I think it was at the end of season 5, and I watched season 6, and I was like, "There's been a battle. Have I just missed?" And I'm like, watching the whole thing. I literally must have fallen asleep in the final episode. I did do a bit of I'd watch all 10 episodes in one go of each season,
Yeah.
rather than just watching it each week was always a bit.
Oh yeah, it's always a bit of a stress. My thing for Game of Thrones was it was just a case of like everything was. I was following everything relatively well. Everything made sense, and I think it really is just a case of like.
I know if Rob was here now, he'd be tearing his hair out right now. But anyway, carry on. Yeah.
It's kind of like
Now you can watch this back and then tear his hair out.
it's.
Separately.
They really. I think it really is just that they shat the bed. They shat the bed with the whole. Then they didn't have any source material.
But it just rushed it because they knew. Oh, they were offered a fucking Star Wars trilogy, which is now not happening.
Yeah, it's kind of it keeps going and coming. That
Well,
rumor.
the sad thing is, if they had spent like an extra
If they'd stuck the landing.
if they stuck the landing, like even if they only did like, because it's not like they didn't have the money. HBO was offering to give them enough money to do whatever they wanted
Yeah,
because it was making them so much money.
They were offering them another.
At that point where I think some of the actors were like, "Look, I want to do something else now.
Yeah,
You just kill me off."
They were offering them another 2 seasons where you could have told like the descent. Okay, I know Harry, you made a point of she's always been descending since the beginning, but I mean you could have told it in a way that didn't feel so rushed towards from her side.
No, there isn't. I totally get the criticism of her change. Now we're going to get onto the big contentious issue because her change does come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So there's more me defending it by being like, kind of can see it happening, but it's
You
not
can understand
obvious.
it, but it's
really
a
not
massive
fucking
jump.
obvious.
It's too big a jump.
To be fair, it's by this point you have to realise that everybody that was reeling her in have got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Had.
Yeah, but the problem is she never showed that many.
That's
over the top moments before.
Well, there is though. There is
not that many. Not enough.
Where the master suddenly gets set on fire by the dragon, she's like Chakavich, and then fucking sets fire to it, and then sticks them all on spikes outside the city.
Yeah,
he's pretty fucking mental.
Yes, but
it's brutal. But at the same time, she's brutal to her enemies, not to innocent people. And it's when she decided to just fucking wipe out like almost half the civilization because she just got pissed off. It's like
not all the people who are going to be the rich bastards in those cities.
No, that's not the thing is.
That's what I mean. That she does do indiscriminate stuff. You can't just kill everyone. Not everybody in a sort of strata or civilization are all evil. No, but she does just do it. I'm not.
But at the same token, when it comes to the thing like the masters, they had like slaves up like every 100 meters or something. She had to walk past to get to the city.
Yeah.
So she had to walk through however much distance to get there to do the siege in the first place. Looking at people tortured deliberately to piss her off, which is why she was a bit more mental at the masters. And plus,
but that's your link. That's your little hint at the fact that she's not
quite. But to go from that to then being like,
not as unhinged as we're led to believe. Is that? I know that's again, it is a leap. Yeah. Well, not denying that this is a leap.
But it's the stuff. It's like the way she is after that when she's talking to Jon Snow and she's like, they won't have a choice in the matter. You know what I mean? She's gone from being like liberator to enslaver in the half an episode.
The trouble is that I suppose is that she may have spent too long. When I've always thought that in the series, like you spent all this fucking time on the other continent, and then she came to Westeros far too late.
Yeah.
Because by the time, why do you care? And even when she does get given the ships, and she's like, "No, but I've had enough of the West. I'm going home." You kind of go, "Okay, cool. This all came out of nowhere." Although
you are the legit ruler of a continent that loves you. Why leave?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Why leave? So you can then destroy the other side of it, and then go on this massive rampage. That takes Jon Snow stabbing you in the heart to really stop you from destroying the planet. Yeah, it's basically what she's going to do.
And it goes down to the whole series is called A Song of Ice and Fire, and Jon Snow is clearly the ice, and Daenerys Targaryen is clearly the fire.
Well, he's both, isn't he? Because he's Stark and he's a Targaryen.
That's the other interpretation. It's either Jon Snow is going to be the quote unquote hero, or it's going to be about Jon and Daenerys being the quote unquote heroes. It depends on your interpretation. It depends where he takes the story. But
also, do the old gods do they exist?
And this is
apparently so, because I mean you had like the Weirwood network, and that links back to that kind of the old gods and stuff like that, because Bran becomes part of the Weirwood network, and that's why that's where the Seers come from like all the old magic and shit. I'm really oversimplifying it here. We're in deep keep with this shuddering right now.
We're just chilling and enjoying.
I'm not saying it's a deep dive into the lore.
This is not a deep dive by any stretch, but at the same time,
it's like, more of we're just sort of picking out an old scar.
Because it's like,
but still there. I mean, I tried to sit down and watch it, not all 8 seasons, but I tried to watch the first season back in, and I was like, oh man, this thing.
I just can't.
Really good.
Where it's going, we just can't do it.
If based on where the books finish, right?
It's around about series 5, isn't it?
It's around about series 5.
Yeah, the last thing that's happened is Jon Snow's been stabbed by the.
Jon Snow's been stabbed several times.
By the Night's Watch. Yeah, he's lying dead. That's how it ends. Yeah, so
it's like
he's still lying in a pool of his own blood.
Is that series 4 then?
That's end of series 5.
End of series 5. Yeah.
Yeah, series 5, just Battle of the Bastards series.
Because you have the Battle of Hardhome, which is when the Night King does the whole "come at me, bro" thing.
Come at me, sounds.
Yeah. And so it's the first time that you see him like able to just reanimate an entire fucking like army, and then when he comes back, the Night's Watch decide to like kill him because he's brought back the wildlings with him.
Yeah. It's like, based on where the books finish, right? The Stark family, right? Ned Stark's dead, Robb Stark's dead, fine. Caitlin Stark she's had a throat slit, but she's now an undead zombie.
Yeah.
Raising her own small army of zombies.
Yeah, Lady Stoneheart.
Lady Stoneheart, because she's not in the show at all.
Yeah, she is in the show, but she is in the book.
She's in the book. Sansa is slowly becoming a political icon through, like, she's learning how to play the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, she's still with Littlefinger at the moment, isn't she?
She's Littlefinger in the Eyrie.
Yeah.
Arya is still learning how to be a faceless man.
Yeah.
Bran Stark, little kid Bran, he's off on like a wild island with Shaggy Dog, his direwolf, just running around with like fucking unicorns and other weird mythological animals.
Rickon's still.
Oh, sorry, Rickon.
He's basically held captive somewhere. Yeah.
And
well, he's not. He's kind of just under the care of someone, isn't he?
Well, no, he got basically taken to like a random
island that's just off the coast in the north. Yeah, no, I remember. Someone's like, yeah, Rickon. Yeah, you're not that important.
Yeah,
and then that's how they treat him in the series, really.
Yeah.
It's like, why run in a straight line if you're gonna get fucking like arrowed to death? Just oh dear, never mind.
Isn't there also like someone claiming to be another Targaryen?
Yeah, fake Aegon.
Fake Aegon.
Yeah, because the fake Aegon come back is there in the book, but in the book they basically make this whole thing about like, you know, don't believe the fake dragon, or don't believe the mama's dragon. Mama being like a term for like a play an actor or something like that. It's
And then Euron Greyjoy is much worse in the books than they made him out to be in the show. In the show he's just a bit of a dickhead, but in the books he's like.
Yeah, in the show he's Captain Jack Sparrow in a dickhead way. In the books he's an actual. No, I'm a real pirate. This is what real pirates.
He's a fucking sorcerer. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got like a horn that can take control of dragons or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are a lot of divergence from the book.
Yeah.
Lots of things that just kind of like, that would have been a cool idea if they decided.
Yeah, if they actually gave, if they decided, we'll take 2 extra seasons to.
That's the problem with that, then, is you do know, because of the way that it has ended, obviously, that is the intended ending.
Well,
Forever how bad it is.
It's just how they get there that's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, if we ever find out, if he ever fucking finishes it, which he probably won't.
Think he's going to bother.
No. It's like Gary from Nerdrotic did a funny tweet. It was like George R. Martin made like a comment about the writer's strike, and then Nerdrotic tweeted, George R. Martin has been on strike for 4,370 something days, like since the last book came out.
It's like
too noisy.
No. Just doing something. But it's like every day they go. It's like when you look at like the first book comes out, then the second book comes out like a year later. The third book comes out like 2 years after that. Yeah. The fourth book comes out 4 years after that, and it's like
they keep getting progressively like longer and bigger.
You're getting worse, and it's like
getting what plot threads he started is like, I reckon it's a case if he's written too much by now and he can't figure out how to like.
He doesn't know how to end it. Yeah, he doesn't know how to end. He's going to end it in 2 books, like Winds of Winter, then the Song of Summer.
Dream of Spring.
Oh, sorry, Dream of Spring. Sorry.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to end it because it's too much for 2 books and doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, that's basically what's happened.
Massive tomes.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it'd be horrendous, but at the same time, this is the problem with the kind of storytelling he's done. And the kind of storytelling he's done is he knows roughly what he wants to do, but he's created the characters, he's given them their personalities, and he's put them in their situations, and he's like kind of written what they would do next.
From the point of view perspective.
Yeah, so Tyrion acts like this, and he would do this next. Now he's in this situation, so he would do this next, and so on.
Yeah.
And he's working out that way in terms of actually writing everything beyond the plan.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look like something like Star Wars, for example, Luke Skywalker is going to do this, this, and this. He'll be smart when he needs to be, stupid when he needs to be, too trusting, too forgiving, whatever you need.
Yeah, whatever
and then drink tea milk.
It's never been highly cerebral writing.
No. Whereas Game of Thrones, while it's not, I don't want to call it uncerebral writing because that's not fair.
No, there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Into what you're into each other.
Yeah, and it's kind of like everyone is doing what they would normally do in that sort of situation, but that's why you've got like 5 books, and they've only the first 5 books, they've only really just finished like the whole clash of like the 5 kings or whatever by book 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
It takes them just to get to the end of that.
That conflict goes on for quite a while.
Because I sometimes forget that Renly Baratheon was a character, and then it's like, oh shit, yeah, he was like the king before then. His own brother kills him.
Yeah.
Or Stannis gets rid of him. It's like, oh dear.
And again, like Stannis is another character. Stannis is someone who in theory would have been around for ages. In theory, it's the legitimate ruler.
He's still alive in the books.
In the books, he's still alive. Based on like the preview chapters that were released, he's still alive and still doing his thing.
Yeah.
It's like he escaped the battle that looked like he was going to get wiped out, and he's in like a northern city or something, or northern townhead with Yara / Asher, depending if you go the show or the book, and Theon Greyjoy's prisoners. And if I'm remembering like the preview chapter correctly, and it's kind of like he's basically like, why the hell do I not just kill you both for both being traitors or like Ironborn scum? And he's trying to defend her brother.
Well, I think the problem with that is he legitimately thinks that he's the prince that was promised, because what's her name keeps telling him that's the case, and then she gets it wrong. You know what I mean? So it's like,
it's beware prophecy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not to carry this forward, but what do we think of the prequel series?
Dance of Dragons. Haven't you watched it yet?
I haven't watched it yet either, but I heard it's very, very good.
Well, what's your opinion on it?
I think they've made a massive mistake with it, because I really enjoyed the first half, and then the jump in time, it's like, oh, you could have just not done the jump.
Oh, there's a time jump, is there? Okay.
Yeah, there's about, I think it's 4 or 5 episodes in, so you've just got it's a storytelling device that I don't think is very good, because surely you would show the passage of time over a few seasons, not.
Oh, well, that explains why Matt Smith's hair is different from one trailer to the next, right? Okay.
Yeah, that is very different, because
show the passage of time and things. Like Rings of Power, where it condenses like 3,000 years.
Oh god, no, it's not even down to the Rings of Power.
No.
Well, look, this is being recorded now. Have you moan? Have you Ben?
I'm going to about the Rings of Power. I've only watched. I watched 2 episodes.
I've watched 4 episodes.
You got
Oh man, I just watched whatever Arakir Galadurathan was complaining about it. You know, when you watched him with me, Harry, when he's just like,
well,
that just doesn't make sense.
After watching his thing, I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to enjoy this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought the first episode was a bit slow, but it was okay. I think
there is a tempest within me.
Upset with any of the portrayals. I wasn't actually upset by any of the acting. Really, it wasn't terrible by sort of like that kind of metric. It wasn't terrible series.
Actors are puppets.
Yeah, they can only deal with what they've been given.
Yeah. Now, some people can elevate it. To give like a more
David Tennant.
He elevated series 2 of New Who so much just by him being David Tennant and being awesome.
He can make episodes like Fear Her watchable, not because the story's any good, but he's entertaining.
Yeah.
Similar.
If I watch any terrible episodes, is because David Tennant is entertaining.
Yeah.
It's like Peter Capaldi, except even he couldn't say Kill the Moon.
No, I haven't gone back to watch that dreadful.
No.
But then it's like, you're using that to say Rings of Power. It's kind of like none of these actors are quite good enough to elevate what they've been given.
No,
that's not
actually really care about. Well, from what I've gathered, they don't actually know a lot about the source material, which you don't have to, but at least it's like they're more concerned with I'm the first this, I'm the first that of.
I'd heard all the complaints, and I was like, well, I'm going to go into it with like a fresh take that it's not Tolkien's vision or whatever. I'm just going to go right. I'm just going to try and objectively watch this.
Yeah,
it's just all right. And the 2 episodes you got, wasn't enough to keep me watching. I was just kind of like, this is just
boring.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's like,
and I've got to that point where my time is precious now.
Yeah.
I'm either going to watch something I know is good, or I'm going to give something a chance, and then I'm just not going to. Normally, you know, I know I'm like, I will stick through and stick at a terrible television series to see, you know, where it goes. Sometimes things can be crap, and I gotta go, oh, I've got to see where this is going to go.
I got to like series 6 of The Flash. I know right about TV shows.
Or the Flux.
When I get a series that I want to be good and it's just not good, you kind of go, oh, I'm not bothering.
It's even worse. Yeah.
Something is just like entertainingly shit. Yeah. I'll probably end up watching it because I might get some kind of like perverse pleasure out of hurting myself.
Sometimes something is so bad it's good. We've said that about like the Batman and Robin film.
We have a whole playlist about that.
No, I've never said that about the Batman and Robin.
I've said that about
that film is shit.
It is shit, but it's enjoyable.
No, it's not enjoyable shit. It's shit.
But it's not the kind of shit that makes you.
This is a hill I will like die on.
No, trust me. I've never
changing. No. Okay. Why is it shit?
I've never watched Batman and Robin and got angry watching it. I've just laughed at how bad it is.
Oh no,
it's just laughably bad. Whereas there's episodes of Doctor Who where I've legitimately got angry at how bad it is, but that's because I care about it. You know what I mean?
I will never give that the Batman and Robin film is good. I will watch it and I will be entertained because I'm laughing at how shit it is.
Exactly.
Because how bad it is.
Yeah, I don't get the same sort of perverse enjoyment from that.
When I watch Mr. Freeze, it's like Arnie's Mr. Freeze. I don't go, oh, that's really shit. I go, that's really shit. Do you know what I mean?
At the end, this is where it's going to be a bit weird. I still think it's Arnie's best portrayal of a character. You actually get a little bit of a tear when he starts talking about his frozen wife.
I'm sorry, no, his best portrayal of a character was the Terminator. We didn't have to do anything.
He is actually being able to, when it comes to the heartwarming shit and not all the fucking stupid one-liners in that film, he is actually the only bit that's really trying to act. Everything else in that film, like, come on, I don't leave the house without the fucking back credit card. No, and even Thurman's doing a shit job. And you think, hang on a minute, who was Thurman? It's the Poison Ivy's That's brilliant casting.
For the time,
absolutely brilliant casting. You would have thought, do you know what? An actual serious Poison Ivy with her would be fucking amazing. But we've got this caricature bullshit. We've got a rubbery Bane, who's one of the coolest badass characters. Oh yeah, fucking roided just fucking like to shit and turning green. He is a wicked character in the comic book, but they just turn him into a rubbery fucking nuisance.
Yeah.
So this is why I get annoyed, because no one in their right mind saw the fucking source material. They just saw the Adam West Batman and thought, oh yeah, let's make a movie of that. And it was like, well, that was shit back then.
Original Batman. It's leading on.
It's crap.
Adam West.
It's leading on from Batman Forever, which wasn't great either.
Robin makes it look good.
Oh, he's a fucking. Adam West is a god. Adam West is your god king. Adam West is your god king in fucking golden power armor, sitting on the golden throne of Earth. That's how good Adam West is.
Make a cup of tea.
Anyway, can we get off the subject of Batman and Robin and that fucking atrocious movie?
So to where we were, it's kind of like, hang on, what the fuck were we?
This is the same problem I have with fucking Batman versus Superman. And I saw that trailer and I broke it down. I remember being during the Foundation year, and someone was like, "Have you seen the Batman Superman versus Batman trailer?" I said, "Yeah, fucking looks terrible." Yeah. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Oh man, it looks cheap." And then they've got like the cave troll Doomsday turns up, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what's Doomsday got to do with Batman versus Superman?" They're blatantly just going to do the Superman death storyline, which is effectively what they fucking did. And I was just like, "Well, that's one of the best. I mean, one of my favourite comic stories." Probably the only really good Superman story, let's face it, is when he fights Doomsday.
Yeah. And even then,
that's classic. There was a massive gap between when Superman dies at the end of that first comic and when he's brought back.
Yeah.
When it was in its original run.
That's not even like a Superman story. It's like literally
it takes a while to boil. Carry on.
This is a DC. That's a DC universe story, because it's kind of like it's how everyone else is dealing with Superman being dead. Doomsday is just a thing like, well, this is just a monster that could kill Superman. That's it. He is no more important than that.
But then it's
It
like,
happens to be
like everything about that cast wrong as well. Like, what's his face? Jesse Eisenberg?
Jesse Eisenberg is
the worst piece of fucking casting in a movie. He's
Should
terrible.
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston would have been a perfect Lex Luthor.
Walter White.
Oh, okay, sorry, that took me a little while. I was like, who the fuck?
I am the one who knocks Superman.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and then it's like
Henry Cavill's the only.
I think I've like hysterical too many times, like him flying over the bay and having Metropolis over here and Gotham, not that far away from each other. When we all know in the comic books, one's on the East Coast and one's on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's like
they are really fucking far away. You can't just fly the bat fucking.
You can't just fly it there. No, it's like well, if you fly the bat plane there, it's like a good couple of hours.
Yeah, I mean, Superman can do it in whatever fucking time he feels like because he can go as fast as the storyline needs him to go.
Well, I mean, based on the death battle calculations.
Oh, that is so stupid.
Oh, here we go.
It was in about the space of like 10 seconds.
Doesn't he like stop two suns from crashing into each other as well?
He does,
so like that. Because obviously, you can hold super hot plasma with your hands.
Well, he's Superman, of course he can.
Because he's Superman.
She's going to pass through it. I'm not going to fucking do it.
The whole point is, as you say, Superman goes as plot needs him.
Yeah. Superman is the ultimate plot device. He is a plot device.
Armor. Here's to like fucking Tyrion from like Dragon Ball Z.
Story. Anyway, sorry, we'll get back onto what was.
I have no idea what we're
we were talking about the rings of power. Objectively, why it's so bad.
Oh yeah, it's just objectively. I can't even be asked.
Because you were trying to say that's just terrible, and I'm like, what terrible shit do I sit through? But no, it's just like there were just bits in it that I just didn't make a great deal of sense.
None of it. The thing is, I can suspend my disbelief once or twice for a couple of things, like keeping the Tolkien examples going. We'll go with the Two Towers. Legolas jumping on the horse in the Two Towers in that weird way. I can suspend my.
I know exactly the bit you mean as well. Yeah. It looks really shit CGI as well. It's one of the few points in Lord of the Rings. It's a bit like the right at the end of Return of the King, when you can clearly see they're like small children or like dwarves
or little people. Yeah,
and it's like that look, and I know when you actually look at the special features, that was the very first scene they actually shot was that scene, and you guys really should have gone back and tidied that up.
Yeah.
But though the fucking Legolas doing the weird,
Legolas jumping on the horse,
the
like
physics
reverse, backwards.
It just looked terrible. I don't know why they even bothered doing it.
I understand what they were going for. It's like, we don't want him to just jump on the horse and onward, but let's do it in reverse. Like, okay, I can see what you're doing and why, but no. Again, the point is, I can suspend my disbelief for one or two little things like that.
For the sake it's cool.
For the sake of coolness, it's like, I can do that because it's one or two little things. Again, using a Legolas example, him sliding down the shield in that same film. That's not too over the top, but it is a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not so bad.
I mean, I had the same problem with what's her face, Galadriel jumping out of the boat and then swimming to shore.
Exactly what
in the same way that Batman jumps out of his bat plane when the nuclear bomb goes off and is able to swim the 4 miles back to Gotham. It's just what?
And then he ends up in Paris with Catwoman.
Yeah.
I mean, or wherever the fuck they were.
It's the same. They have the same. Oh yeah, but she's an elf. Yeah, but she's not. You can't just jump into the middle of the fucking Pacific and then swim to shore like it's going to be.
It's about the equivalent, if not more, than where she would have had to fucking swim. Oh, and look, and then this random dude who totally isn't Sauron manages.
He's a big all-powerful dude that you've been searching for what? There's the storyline tells you at the beginning that she's been trying to search for the Dark Lord all this time, and then can't see him. I mean, I know that.
I think
maybe it's magic, wibbly wobbly.
I think
they make rings anyway, even though they know they found out he's Sauron, and they still make them. Fuck off.
The biggest flaw of Rings of Power is that it's about the wrong person. It should be about Celebrimbor.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's just not there. Well, he's there, but he's not. It's not like
This is a bit contentious, but I think they deal with Celebrimbor better in
Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor.
No,
They deal with Celebrimbor better in that than they do in.
Oh yeah.
It's still a technically incorrect interpretation.
Oh, it
but
is.
It's still
but it's still
a far
better.
better
I mean,
interpretation.
it is flawed,
Yeah.
but it's better. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't find anything in Shadow of. I mean, some of it's a bit offensive in terms of the fact that it's
Like Shelob.
But then again, Shelob's a bit more portrayed like that in terms of that she is able to communicate.
Yeah. The thing is,
But I don't really. I mean, I understand why they did it in the film. It does look cool and having this big monster that doesn't. It's like acts like a spider. It is a spider. But it does actually talk about how it's going to eat Frodo.
If I remember correctly, it's like Ungoliant is just a giant demon thing that has a relative spider shape but can shapeshift.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not.
It wouldn't be a far cry that Shelob would have the same ability.
It's like works on unlight, so it basically devours light with unlight kind of thing, and it's the only creature that actually made fucking Melkor scream in fear and pain as well. And so it's like, this isn't something we're fuck with.
Because that way you can look on Google and check these things.
Yeah.
So you can tell what he's doing.
Fact finding.
Yeah, fact finding.
Yeah. I just like watch and read a load of really nerdy shit about this sort of thing.
It's cool. And that's the thing though. It's kind of like Shelob turning herself into an attractive woman of a relative age for what's his name? Talion. Yeah. Wouldn't be is not too out of the ordinary. Plus, if you did say it wouldn't be inappropriate considering Shelob's history.
Yeah.
And Ungoliant's history. It's still a bit of a leap, but you could make that leap and it's not too bad. But then for the whole thing of Rings of Power, right? Okay, this should be a show about these are the forging of the Rings of Power and how they corrupted people. Series 1 gives us none of that.
It should have just been Numenor.
Oh, that's the other thing. Sorry, there are comparisons. Is why I brought it up. The problems with the Rings of Power and the House of Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
With the time frame, they introduce the Mad King as a child, but this is set 200 years before the events of the Game of Thrones. Yeah. And in the same way, you've got characters like Isildur appearing in the Power of the Ring, and you're like, well, hang on a minute, that he didn't exist.
He didn't exist when that happened.
Unless what they're showing is not necessarily the correct, like you're having leaps of time, a bit like how the first season of The Witcher is.
Yeah, the first season is kind of like various scenes are
not in the right order. They're not.
But it's generally done in a way where you can kind of tell.
Yeah,
you have to watch it a couple of times, but you can see it once you know.
Once you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. But Galadriel never met the fucking Queen of Numenor. Didn't happen. They didn't exist at the same time. So it's like, what's he doing?
My issue, it's like I'm trying to be objective and stay away from understanding the law. But once you sort of go, well, no, that person can't be there, or this person shouldn't be there, and you kind of go, well, what? Are they just plucking characters out of the air and just trying to set?
Because they have the rights to it now. Yeah.
The whole point of the fact that the humans never lived for that long.
No.
So having Isildur there is just like, well, hang on a minute. I don't remember Isildur being part Elvish.
No.
I mean, I know Aragorn is because he's a part of the Dunedain Rangers.
The thing is, it's kind of I'm trying to remember
the line basically of Isildur.
Back at the very beginning of the whole Dunedain Numenorian thing,
they're basically superhuman.
Comes into it is Elrond and his brother Elros, I think.
Yeah.
It's like Elros chose to be human, and he went off and founded Numenor, and they became the Numenorians, which is why they're long-lived. They will still die of old age, but back when he was in charge, they would live to about 400.
Yeah, they basically got blessed with longer life as a sort of reward from the gods, essentially.
But because as they slowly became corrupted, and as they slowly
their lifespan started
to shrink, which is why I think the last Numenorian king before like Aragorn or whatever lived to like 150, whereas Aragorn got to like 200 and something.
Yeah.
It all comes down to how, like, you know, the Valar saw you a little bit, but because they became more corrupted, it just kind of faded. Plus, as the blood mixed with
exactly,
it changed.
Blood started thinning out, so to speak.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that's why it
diluted is probably a better word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even like the hobbits in it, or just some of the characterizations of different things. It's just like, just didn't really feel like Lord of the Rings.
Oh god,
the hobbits shouldn't have been in it at all. Okay, yes, Harfoots, whatever. They shouldn't have been in it at all.
No, they didn't exist in the Second Age.
It's like the best stuff in it is the stuff where you have Elrond talking with Durin, the elf and the dwarf chatting to each other, because they have this one really good conversation. And it's kind of the only thing that's actually worth talking about from the entire show.
Because they didn't see each other for like 25 years or something like that, was it?
Durin's getting really pissed at Elrond. Because, like, mate, you have not been in my life for like 25, 30 years.
And now you're telling us what to do.
I've got married, I've had kids, and you're supposed to be my friend, and you weren't there for any of that. And it's kind of like, the actors do a really good job of it as well. Yeah. Again, actors are puppets, they do what they're told to.
It's probably the best bit of writing that they can.
It's the best bit of writing because it actually means something. It means something, and these two actually elevate it a little bit.
Well, as opposed to Elrond as well, to him it's probably like, obviously to an elf, 25 years is like a week.
It doesn't mean anything to him. 25 years is like, you know, a couple of months in like normal people terms. But again, that's the sort of thing that kind of like, that bit hits really well. Everything else is pants. But that sort of thing. But again, if you're looking this hard for like bits that work, it's not that good.
Yeah. If you're having to try and
wizard like being Gandalf, just so
if you're trying, I know it's me trying to point out bits that to try and make her villain change make sense, then you've done a bad job. Objectively, you kind of go, that doesn't make.
And this is where
make for good character development.
This is where my whole Hobbit rewrite video came from in the first place when I did that years ago. It's kind of like the Hobbit movies aren't bad; they're good, but
they're just bloated.
They're bloated, but there's ways
like Tetsuo, you know, turning into the baby giant swollen like fucking eats stuff from Akira.
Yeah. There's things you could trim, things you could streamline, and things you could adjust to make it make more sense, probably be more in line with the book, and still be really good.
I'd be interested to do a cut that cuts everything that isn't in The Hobbit.
It already exists.
There's one. Yeah, I remember.
I think it's like 2.5 hours. It's literally just stuff from books.
Because I could quite happily not watch Gandalf coming across Sauron or any of that bit. I can quite happily deal with any of them. I'm just interested in Bilbo's journey.
Yeah, I think Tom found a cut of it on YouTube, and he was like, "Guys, watch this version. It's so much better." Like, okay, cool.
This is the weird thing for me is it works a lot. It makes more sense when you watch something like, say, Lord of the Rings than Lord of the Rings the extended version. For someone like me, that's like cocaine. It's like, you're giving me more of the thing I like. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Obviously not actual cocaine. I've never taken actual cocaine, whatever. But
liar.
That's Moorish.
But then the thing is with the Hobbit,
crack.
With the Hobbit, it's kind of like, okay, the stuff they're showing isn't incorrect. It is stuff that's like, but it's stuff from the appendices of Lord of the Rings, like.
Yeah. It's still Tolkien's work.
It's still Tolkien's work, and it still happens.
An interpretation of Tolkien.
But it's not relevant for the Hobbit story.
Inspired by.
Well, no, not inspired by. Tolkien wrote it himself, so it's literally.
No. What I mean is the series. The series is inspired by. It feels more like that than actually like this is what happened.
So going back to it, it's kind of like if they had basically made if the first series had been like, you know, Celebrimbor is like you could picture it like he's a struggling elvensmith. He wants to do better, and then Anatar, giver of gifts, appears. He goes before Gil-galad and Galadriel. It's like, I wish to give you these gifts of knowledge and things for how to smith and be better. And they're like, no, we don't trust you. And then he's like, but I will trust you because I want to be better at my smithing craft.
Yeah.
And then he ends up forging magic rings. And then he starts to forge the 9 rings, and then the 7 rings, and the 3 rings, and then then in theory helps with the 1 ring. I know he doesn't actually do that, but you could pitch that for the TV show.
Doesn't he make the Elven rings first?
He makes the elf. No, I can't remember what the order is, so I'll go with you when you say that.
I think the Elven rings are pretty early on, because they're the ones that as soon as they put them on, they realise, oh shit.
You know, I think they are made in like the Elven rings are made it completely independently.
They're made completely independently. I don't know the order.
But he makes them.
Yeah, Celebrimbor makes those 3 Elven rings on his own.
And that's why later, like that's why they don't take full control.
No, they're linked.
Those 3.
They're linked because he uses the same techniques, but Sauron had no hand in their making, which is why
they don't work. They don't corrupt. Galadriel, they don't corrupt Gandalf.
They realise straight away. They realise straight away.
No, what's his name? Syrian, Master of Grey Havens.
Okay.
Gil-galad and Galadriel, because Syrian from the Grey Havens gives his ring to Gandalf.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Gandalf arrives at the Grey Havens, which pisses off Saruman even more, which is one of the reasons why he doesn't like him. It's like, because Syrian's like, I can see your burdens will be great, because he can see. I don't know if he's got views. He can see a bit of the future, or at least perceive Gandalf's future of being awesome. So here's a magic ring. Go on, be awesome.
And also Gandalf was favoured by the king of the Arnur as well. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, he was kind of like teacher's pet without actually kind of realising it.
Yeah, well, this is it. Because he was asked to go back when he was an Istari rather than just a normal wizard. He was like, he was asked to go to Middle Earth, and he was like, no, I don't want to because it's a bit too weird and scary. And he's like, no, you have to go because you're someone who would actually do a good job. It's like, oh, okay, then I will. But obviously, so he's humble about it, whereas everyone else is either volunteering or being
I
like,
want to go.
Yeah.
And then you shot at the world like
yeah, because he was genuinely frightened of Sauron.
I just think that's so stupid in the
It is stupid because in the books, in the books they get up on fucking boat.
To fire a cannonball at the world.
Yeah. There's Gandalf. Oh, but shouldn't have been.
Well, just sort of hint at the fact that he does all the same tropes as he does in the movie.
Don't worry, always follow your nose. Well, that sounds like something you would have learned rather than something you actually would say.
Yeah.
Plus, in canon, he gets on a boat with the other wizards at the same time in the second age, which is before the fall of Arnor. So just after the fall of Arnor. I think that's why the wizards get sent. But don't quote me on that, 'cause I can't remember exactly.
No, you're pretty much. It's basically that. Yeah.
So it's quite surprising how many series have got it wrong in recent years.
Oh, especially in the last few years.
It's almost like all the people who make television have lost their ability to make decent television.
Well, yeah, or the people that make TV shows that don't actually like the material that they're working with.
Yeah, it's almost like they actively hate the fans.
Yeah.
And the actual material. It's like, no, we can do a better job.
Yeah.
And you kind of go,
this is what you should think and feel.
It's what confuses me. I just gotta go, well, how can you be sort of like make a different fantasy show if you're not going to stick to what was originally intended or what was like the brief notes that Tolkien wrote about his world? Then don't make the series, make something else.
Yeah. The thing is,
they know they won't be able to sell it.
It's absolute hubris to think that, oh yeah, I've got a much better idea. I'm going to write it.
You're fucking hubris.
Thing is, there's stuff out there, even within Tolkien's work. If you wanted to do like a Sex and Death, Game of Thrones style fantasy TV show, you could.
Just make one.
It's called The Fall of Arnor.
Or Conan.
Conan existed. That's the depressing.
Just do shit from like fucking Children of Húrin. You know what I mean?
Start from the beginning.
Children of Húrin would have been amazing. The Fall of Arnor would have been amazing. Basically, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
King dies, and instead of just giving the kingdom to his eldest son, splits it in three between his 3 sons to stop them fighting. But then one goes super hardcore evil, one's kind of in the middle, one wants to be good, and they all just fight with each other, and it becomes a whole chaos thing. And then the Witch King kind of swoops in, manipulates the whole thing, makes it worse, and beats them all. And it's
the fucking kinslaying of the elves as well.
Yeah, you've got the the kinslaying of the elves, when the elves first left Valinor. It's like, yeah, you've got loads of good stuff in there. So if you wanted to do your sex and death Game of Thrones stuff, you could have done it.
It's already there.
It's
like,
there.
yeah,
You've just got to be clever about it, and not even that clever, because it's like, we've been drinking vodka and booze, and
we're not even trying to come up with
a decent idea.
No.
Just talking about what was already written and how you could potentially turn
adapt
it.
Just adapt it.
Yeah. Hell, you've seen the rewrites I've done and how he laughs at them. It's kind of like, come on. It's like, if we can do it, anyone can. I'm sure there's better writers out there.
Let's bring that series back, Jack. Jack rewrites. They're still on The Hobbit at the moment.
We have to figure out, we got to figure out a subject matter. How would you rewrite Doom Annihilation? I mean, no.
I wouldn't make it in the first place.
Wouldn't rewrite it. It's perfection. Simple as that.
No, I thought,
so good it kills PlayStation 4.
Yeah, it killed my PlayStation 4, but it's still dying slowly. The wife was going to buy me a PlayStation 5. She bought me Tears of the Kingdom instead for the Switch, which, to be fair, is a fucking even trade by my opinion. That game's fucking amazing. That's beside the point. One of the things I've been thinking about doing, I know I've been slowly working on my Mass Effect Andromeda video. It's still going. It really is. It's
kind of magnum opus.
My magnum opus. When it finally comes out, it's going to
drop on that, Jack. Don't give up on it.
Oh, I'm never giving up on it. That's going to be the thing I'll leave on the internet forever. So one of the things I wanted to do as a rewrite was the Legend of Zelda timeline and the Legend of Zelda games.
Oh my god, that's going to be a long project, I think. But go for it.
The thing is, it could all be.
He was looking for another magnum opus, and I think he's found it, didn't he?
The thing is, it wouldn't actually be as big a video. So imagine, right? Okay, so the magic wand gets waved. I'm made in charge of the Legend of Zelda franchise by Nintendo for the next 5 years.
Okay.
I know what I would do. I would basically remake and re-release everything in a classic version and a remastered version. Classic version is literally the same game again, just on the most updated console, so Switch or Switch 2, whatever is out at the time.
Yeah.
So if you want to play original NES Zelda, you can, exactly the same way. But there'd also be a remastered version, and what I would do is basically I'd sit down with Eiji Aonuma. I basically say right, motherfucker, what the hell is going on with your timeline, and tell me what's supposed to happen. Show me the secret document you have if you have one, and if you don't, that's fine.
We'll just work out.
We'll work it out right now. That makes sense. Beyond that, I don't care.
And how many times do you have to fight Ganon before you start giving up that it's not the same character? He can't keep dying and coming back.
Well, he keeps getting reincarnated, plus there's 3 timelines. So
I know. Yeah, there's 3 timelines.
And apparently now, if you're according to popular fan theory at the moment, there's now a Dragon Break, as in Elder Scrolls style Dragon Break, that reunites all 3 timelines thanks to the events of Tears of the Kingdom. Spoilers. I won't. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Spoilers. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, I'm not going to remember it when I eventually play it.
In Tears of the Kingdom, Ganondorf's back, but apparently this is Ganondorf at the very beginning of the timeline, so before Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
So literally, Skyward Sword is supposed to be the first game of the timeline. This is like a generation or 2 after that, but before any other games happen.
Okay.
In theory, when you look at the past.
Yeah.
Right? And, okay, fine, whatever. It still makes no sense for other games, but I'll go with it. And the thing is, because the timeline splits in Ocarina of Time into 3, but what happens is, when you get to the very far future, which is where you've got Tears of the Kingdom's main game, Zelda goes back in time to the beginning, ends up becoming a dragon, and flying around over Hyrule for the best part for over 10,000 years. Hence why there's a whole 10,000 year history that gets brought up in Breath of the Wild. And it's like, the thing is, I like the explanation on the case of if I was making Legend of Zelda as say a Netflix show, it's kind of like each series would be a different game for say 8 seasons. But there'd be
so what's she just doing? Just flying around as a dragon?
Well, the Master Sword gets absolutely shattered by Ganondorf.
For 10,000 years until she appears in the last game as a dragon.
Well,
Is that what you're telling me? That she's there,
well,
floating around? Oh, she's gonna like look in the sky.
well,
Look at the stars.
the thing is, the Master Sword, at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom, the Master Sword gets shattered into pieces, and they basically set up this whole. They talk about this whole thing as like godly energy will fix it. All you have to do is just like hold it and exude godly energy, and it will fix itself.
Godly energy.
And because she's a reincarnation of a goddess, she's like, well, I can do that, but I'm only going to live like 100 years.
Right.
And this sword needs to be 10,000 years in the future. So, using magic and whatever, she turns herself into a dragon and basically spends 10,000 years holding the Master Sword as a dragon. It's like, in Breath of the Wild, where you have to pull the sword out of the thing in front of the Deku tree.
No.
Yeah. So, I'm not talking to him because he hasn't played it. In Breath of the Wild, where you get the Master Sword, you have to pull it out of the hole in the forest.
I'll pull it out of your hole.
Hey.
Not my hole, mate.
Hey.
Give you. But yeah, it's like you got to pull the sword out of the stone. Yeah, in Breath of the Wild. I'm assuming you got the Master Sword. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the only weapon that doesn't. Well, it does break, but it comes back.
Yeah. It's in Breath of the Wild.
And you have to have enough hearts to be able to pull it out. Yeah.
It's the same thing, but now instead of being in front of the tree, it's on top of a dragon's head flying in the sky. Yeah.
It just sounds so dumb. I mean, you're not selling this game to me.
Thing is, the reason to play Tears of the Kingdom is not because of the story, is not because of the gameplay. It's because of the fucking Ultra Hand where you can build what the fuck you want and just
because you could build shit like flaming cocks.
It's like I've seen people build orbital fucking satellites. It's
some of that shit you said to me was mental.
Oh my god!
Showed me.
I found someone who's actually built a like orbital striker missile. It basically shoots up into the sky, flies a few meters ahead, and assuming you're aiming it roughly at an enemy, you'll then target the enemy and fire at it with a fucking missile. And it's just like
I've seen someone create like a cage with a thing, and then he puts it on top of one of the big monsters and switches it off. I've seen that. That's quite.
So
funny.
Nintendo just thought, let's just break the game for everybody.
Someone had made Metal Gear Rex.
Someone's made Metal Gear Rex in that game, and it looks just like it. Okay, it doesn't work the way Metal Gear Rex would do, and it's not quite big enough, but it still looks like Metal Gear Rex. It's brilliant. I've seen someone build an actual walking mech. The Dark Knight trilogy Batman Tumbler Batmobile. Someone's built that as well. It's just like, it looks like it. It works. Brilliant. It's so stupid.
About.
Where's Willow? They're cancelling that show. Oh,
what a shame. No.
Why is he sad? It was terrible.
No, the show is shit, but the fake documentary they did is piss funny.
The fake documentary?
They did a fake documentary about how they made it, and it's piss funny because everyone's just hamming it up to all the nine-lines, and Warwick Davis is just fucking on point for all of the jokes.
Oh, I'm not bothered watching that.
No. It's like, I wouldn't be like, go and watch it.
It was one of those weird series. Okay, there's something shit that I managed to sit all the way through.
Oh my god, yes. How did
I do it? I know. I'm sorry. I'm now going back on subject. Yes, there is some shit that I will
Stop
sit
suffering. You're willing to put yourself through.
The thing is that I didn't have a high bar set for Willow. I mean, I like the original movie, but it's not. I'm more curious. I was very curious about it because I was like, this is a film or series that none of us have asked for. None of us got like dying desire to see a Willow TV series. And when they announced it, I was like, weird. Okay, I'm willing to give this a go. And it was fucking terrible. But terrible. I just got to that point where I was like, how bad can this get?
I didn't think anything else could be more shit, and then they just sneak things in.
I wasn't hoping it was going to be good. That was the thing. If I'm not hoping something's going to be good and it's just shit, I'm like, how shit is this going to get? Whereas obviously Lord of the Rings, I was like, I want this to be good. It's okay. No, I'm not going to watch it. Whereas if I go into something and go, this is shit, but how bad is this going to get? It becomes like, I'm now intrigued at this like slow motion car crash.
Yeah.
Before my eyes. And each week I was like, there's bits to this I kind of enjoy, and there's also bits that are just really fucking irritating. And I'm like, this is terrible. And then they were like, oh no, it's not getting a second season. Oh, what a fucking.
Oh dear, because they never expected that to happen.
I'd say it's like.
Hopefully it'll be like cancelled and that's it. It'll be put in the bin. It'll be one of those weird curiosities I'll pick up in 20 years' time and go, I made a TV series of Willow. I don't remember. Oh, I do remember. That was doing
something else for like Drunk Jack to get angry at.
Thing is, I lost.
I'll dig it out and I'll be giving it to him. I'll show him this video later and be like,
put it on the shelf.
The thing that got me to turn off from Willow, I did watch the whole thing.
Is Willow's daughter, Matt Morgan's daughter, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
she's the most irritating fucking character.
She was irritating, evil little shit.
Yeah.
Then she fell in a pool of pure evil, the evil liquid.
Somehow she didn't.
And she didn't become worse.
Yeah.
She is so bad that liquid evil doesn't make her worse.
And then
that's
somehow,
how bad she
repels spiders.
Like, there was just loads of bollocks in it. And they've obviously said it. They have set it up for a sequel. That's the thing. It ends with this whole like big reveal at the end, and they kind of go. I mean, I kind of sat there and I had with a little bit of glee. It's like, you guys were hoping for a second series? That ain't gonna happen. And then when it got announced, I was just like,
apparently there are actually books about Willow. Like there's like an original Willow story and various other books. So I have no idea how. I literally only found out about this like a week ago, and I haven't looked into it. But it's like. It's one of these things. If this is actually based on a book series, like Game of Thrones or something,
it'll blatantly be.
Then it's like,
it'll blatantly be they made the books after the dark.
Like Mass Effect.
Being an adaptation.
And it's like, it's one of these weird things where it's like,
Do you know what Willow missed?
What?
Val Kilmer.
Yes.
I was like, to be honest, it was one of those ones. Like, you're bringing this series back without him. I mean, I know he's not very well, but there is a certain amount where I think he must have read the script and gone, "Yeah, I'm all,
You want me to lose weight for this?
Yeah, I'm not getting on my own legacy.
Happily just go on to do Top Gun Maverick. Thanks very much."
Yeah, exactly. A much better film, and it's like I can have a nice little cameo. Everyone will, cheer up a little bit because I did.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, what a moment. But clever how they sort of worked that into how he is in real life as well. It was very tastefully done.
But and also everything was cast again. I don't know what casting companies are doing at the moment. They seem to be really bad at casting.
Well, they just cast any old cunt who seems to tick the box.
It's a bit like government contracts. Who can we pay peanuts to? Oh yeah, we could get some money.
Okay, so allegedly there are 3 books based on Willow.
Based on Willow the movie, not the film.
Based on Willow the movie.
Yeah, okay, so cool. I knew that Willow the movie was an original.
It's like it's got 15-year-old Laura Dannon as the main character, but whatever. I have no idea. I haven't looked at. I honestly
don't think they bothered reading them books. They probably made their own series up.
Yeah, it's literally on Wikipedia. There's 3 books called like Shadow Moon, Shadow whatever, and Shadow something else.
When did they come out? Like what, 4 or 5 years after the film or something?
95, 96, and 2000.
So 10 years after. Is it 10 years after the film?
About that, yeah. But the thing is, I like Willow. Willow's just a really nice one and done film.
Yeah, it is.
You didn't need to do anything else after that.
Expanding upon. Yeah. Jean Marsh does a great job of being the villain. What's her face was fit back then.
Yeah.
The daughter.
Yeah. Oh, Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha.
Sasha.
Oh, she's amazing.
Val Kilmer back in his prime.
Oh, yeah, Val Kilmer with long hair. I've always said this about many people, but people with longer hair. Val Kilmer with long hair in that movie, fucking amazing.
I think the only reason you're saying that is because you've got the longest hair of the 3 of us right now.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say you've probably got the longest hair of the 5 of us, if we include.
That would be correct.
I've grown it back again.
Right. So okay. You, Rob, Tom, me, Sean, and that's because Sean's probably just shaved his head recently.
I have, yeah. This is actually.
In its heyday, there'd probably be a challenge for your.
I don't know. I'm very less precious about my hair these days. There'll be one day you'll just be like, why did you just cut a mohawk out? Yeah, I felt like it.
Felt like it.
Yeah.
First mohawk, right from the middle.
Just do a fucking.
You'll just see how to go with it.
He'll have the undercut going on again
as well. Like literally,
just that whole half of my face.
Yeah. Say it.
Oh, I think the thing is though, it's not that you can't do like fan service and stuff like that if you do it right.
Picard season 3, perfect.
Picard season 3, Spider-Man.
To be fair, so Picard season 3,
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Through everything. The kitchen sink. I mean, even right to the point where there's like that reference is really obscure.
Yeah, only an actual fan.
You got a mega nerd to get that.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, that you're now referring back to something that's like decades old.
Series.
My only big problem with Picard Series 3, from what I've seen of it so far, I've seen most of it. I haven't seen all of it.
It's quite dark, as in like not thematically, but I mean as in like the actual lighting is quite dark. Like I want to turn it up a bit.
I'm okay with that. It's kind of like it's the fact that they're doing changelings. It's like you could have had any other mind control shapeshifters. Everyone was talking about how it's going to be like the butt bugs from Series 1.
I think the bloody butt bugs are not in Series 1, but I know what you're on about. Yeah. They do appear like Season 4, and then nothing gets mentioned about them.
Oh, no. It's pre-Series 3, I know that. It's definitely before Series 3.
It happens.
It's a finale for Series 1 or 2.
Must be. Is that where all like the admirals are all being taken over?
Yeah, they got all
that storyline just disappeared
It disappeared so quickly.
That's almost as bad as like Vincent Mann dying and then Crispin Moore killed his family.
Oh shit, he's like, no, it's fine now. Yeah, we won't do this anymore because it's tasty.
What I thought they were going with originally. It's like,
it was meant to be the big bad, but I think the Borg was so successful they just dropped it and used the Borg instead.
Yeah.
But then I think you are quite right. It is either Series 1 or 2.
Yeah. But my point is, it's kind of like, look, if you're going to be like mind control stuff, then have it switch over to be the Borg. I don't really care about that. The Borg are a better bad guy, hands down.
No. They weren't using it as like they literally just dropped the story and then concentrated on developing the Borg.
That's why have changelings in there? Why not just have it be these mind control bugs again? Just do that, because that'd be more for next generation. Because the changelings were very much Deep Space Nine.
Used is that there is a big story point towards the end of the series. You need to watch it. They had to be used for a reason, and it becomes readily apparent.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Also, they used them because it's the remnants of like the biggest conflict that's happened in Star Trek. Arguably, I mean, their war with
the Dominion War,
which actually really leads into Picard.
Yeah,
like a lot of the changes in the law, a lot of the reason why the Federation is the way it is a direct result of.
This is why we need a proper follow-up to Voyager. Because Voyager's like the last thing that happened, and even then, all we really see
is them getting back. Well, no, technically Nemesis is the latest.
Okay, yeah,
Janeway's back.
At that point, yeah. But
then none of us were particularly happy with that.
The thing is, the whole thing.
Fucking Tom Hardy. I like Tom Hardy, but not in that movie.
Oh no, that was bad.
It's such a trick where they could have been like Patrick Stewart acting against Patrick Stewart. All he needs is body doubles and you reverse camera shots. Well, he's in different costumes. Patrick Stewart's a good enough actor; he could do it, and he could do it really well.
And all they wouldn't have needed
to do. Fit enough to do it back then as well.
Acting in front of Patrick Stewart, and
that's exactly what I just said.
No, but you're talking about CGI in him and making just basically have him.
Body doubles,
exactly. No, not even. Oh, I see what you mean. Like from behind.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah, Shane Dent.
I don't know why. Yeah, I say like you're saying. Don't know why they just went with the younger version of it. Just want to just have him.
Yeah.
Do both parts, and then they could have explained it that Picard, the clone, is aging rapidly because of.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what they talk about in the fucking film anyway.
Yeah. It's literally a case of like, but it's like for a couple of his earlier scenes, you could like put some makeup on him to make him look a bit younger, for his later scenes of the film, you put a bit more makeup on him to make him look a bit older. Not massively different, but like, you know, give it like maybe 5 to 10 years different either side.
He's tall, he doesn't look like John Patrick Stewart. That's the other issue I have. Like, doesn't, by any stretch of the imagination, doesn't look like a young Patrick Stewart.
He could have done a Ben Kingsley or something like that. Do you know what I mean? He's got a little bit more look about him.
Ben Kingsley.
What ruined the Mandarin?
Well, no, he didn't. Marvel ruined Mandarin.
Yeah, you're quite
Ben Kingsley's. It was one of those actors who can basically do pretty much anything.
And then they brought him back.
And it's like,
Trevor Slattery. Yeah, he's back.
He's the toast of Croydon. That's who's the fucking Croydon. We know Croydon's a shithole.
Yeah, we don't need to be reminded of it on TV or on film. Thank you very much.
It's Marvel. You just picked a name out the fucking book.
Disney Marvel.
Yeah, God, this the latest phase has just been diabolical. It's like Endgame, like we said, Jack, ages ago. Endgame should have been Endgame, but it's not. It's fucking like mid-game.
From what I've heard,
I've tried watching the Marvel series, all of them. I mean, okay, Loki, I kind of enjoyed.
Loki was alright.
I did actually enjoy Falcon and Winter Soldier more because it actually showed the direct events after, the world coming back to normal and all that. I quite enjoyed that. I thought the thing with WandaVision was pointless.
I saw what they were doing with WandaVision, but it's
weird.
like
I didn't like it.
I like the beginning where it's like, oh fucking hell, what's going on here? They're on a TV show and stuff, and then it becomes just like a normal Marvel thing.
Normal Marvel TV show.
Yeah, and then you find out it's like, oh, she basically enslaved the whole town because she was upset. Oh, but she's the victim in all this. It's like,
I really like.
If they portrayed her as the bad guy at the end, if it was just her being the bad guy and it's people trying to talk her down, forget this whole Agatha was always there.
Oh God, yeah.
That was stupid.
But just to have her be like, she was unintentionally the bad guy, or she didn't want to be the bad guy, but she was the bad guy. How do you want to frame it? I don't care. Yeah. It was like, that would have worked so much more.
A bit more of a setup for what you do get later, which I do actually enjoy. I mean, okay, so we'll get on to Spider-Man. I did enjoy. I thought that was actually
No Way Home is
No Way
the
Home
best thing. That's the best part of Phase 4.
Best since Infinity War. I thought that was.
With that film because it managed to hit enough notes to make you go,
yeah.
Do you know what? Well done. You've actually finally made up for what happened for Tobey Maguire and to be fair, both of them got the short straw.
Yeah.
At different times, really. Because that third Spider-Man movie is fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
I don't even like watching it back.
Was Andrew Garfield or Tobey
Maguire's third film is shit.
Oh, it's the
fucking dreadful.
Tobey Maguire's second film is the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first and third films are both equally.
First good.
First one's okay.
Good.
Second
one's great. Third one's terrible. And
I wouldn't say terrible, but definitely it's definitely worse.
Harry, I remember me and you watching Amazing Spider-Man 2, Harry, and we had a few to drink, but we were still like, we weren't completely pissed. We were like, it's all right.
Spider-Man. I like Amazing Spider-Man. I don't mind both of those films. I think he actually got that film got so much criticism, the second one, that it didn't deserve. It was a way better film than all the critics said it was. I was like, hang on a minute. It's only doing what other stars. I suppose the big criticism you can make about that movie is it's not breaking any new ground, unfortunately. You got the Electro being the same way every other Spider-Man villain has been at that point. He starts off and then he's kind of schizophrenic, and it was like, this is getting boring now for all the villains. Think of them. Green Goblin is schizophrenic.
Yeah.
The Doctor Octopus is schizophrenic because of the arms.
Yeah.
Venom is schizophrenic because he is two people. And then you got the Hobgoblin, it's Harry Osborn is schizophrenic because he's done what his dad's done. Yeah. And then you get the Lizard who's schizophrenic.
But he's actually schizophrenic. He's supposed to be.
And then you've got Electro who ends up like kind of being this like...
He's just a bit fucked up.
Yeah.
He's acting schizophrenic even though he's not, and that's just why he's like, that's why it's a thing.
Yeah.
When you hear
I think his motivation for why, I was your biggest fan, and it's actually like, it's quite sad.
Yeah.
It's quite sad in that Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, oh yeah, you are my hero, but actually...
Never meet your heroes.
Yeah, exactly. It does have that good part, and they managed to sort of fix a lot of those problems with No Way Home. Because it kind of goes, look, you got the dirty done on you. Here we are. Here's a decent chance to show that you guys were good.
Yeah.
I took out to see Amazing Spider-Man 2 in the cinema. Cried her eyes out at the end.
Oh.
But it's like.
What with Gwen?
When we're having Gwen. It's like, to be fair, when I first saw it, holding back the mantis, I will freely admit it, because it's kind of like, it's kind of the thing that I was expecting her to be dead at the end of it. I knew that was coming, but the fact that her head slammed against concrete floor, and it was like
there's nothing you could do about it.
So close to saying.
He was literally like half a second.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, that is the bit that fucks you
and
up.
Also, it's the hope that you get at the end of that, like when he helps the kid and he fights the rhino.
Yeah.
And kind of he's actually able to carry on as well. Even although through that, it's like, there's hope at the end of that film.
Yeah.
And then obviously they did all the hints, and I was like,
Sinister Six and all that.
He deserved a third film.
It needed it. It needed it to see where it was going.
They had planned it, and it was going to be Vulture as the bad guy, apparently. But it's like, obviously, the whole Marvel
by switching that over and doing it with
Tom Holland.
Don't get me wrong, it's one of those things now when I look at it and look at the three of them. Tom Holland is the best all-rounder.
Yes.
Andrew Garfield's the best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by miles.
The best Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tom Holland does pull off both.
He pulls off both well enough.
Yeah.
And it's
there's still Spider-Man, the actual Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield gets that.
Oh yeah, well, he's
the most Spider-Man.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's the quips that he comes out with is very close to like Deadpool level, and it's like
man, you shouldn't dress like a car thief.
Yeah.
Oh, did I get you? Oh no!
Small knives, my one weakness.
Fuck you. And he's looking like the whole scene of him trying to find the guy with the tattoo and stuff. I love that and that.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, an amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his fight with the lizard in the school, where he's like calling the spider and webbing him up against the walls and shit. And it's like, okay, he's acting a bit too much like a spider, but you're Spider-Man. You're meant to be like
the whole point of it.
So,
you take your advantage.
He does those. Oh, and then he does the thing in the sewer.
Yeah.
And he makes the spider web, and I was
He
like,
makes the spider web.
Actually being a spider.
Yeah.
I like said it. It's like, oh,
he was sitting in the middle of the web playing like fucking bubble with his phone.
Yeah.
You can totally see him doing it. But that's the thing. I can see that's lifted from the comic book. I can see that in my mind's eye. I was like, this is how that's worked. I find it how you can go so wrong with a comic book movie when you've got the storyboarding there. It's there to see.
It's because they don't want to do those stories. That's the problem.
It's the execution of it as well. It's like, can we really do this? Oh no, that's just half
stories. You still use the same frames. Still the same. They still frame it in the same way, and you're kind of going,
of course they do.
Yeah, you're tricking my mind's eye with this, but it's still not what that comic book was.
No. Well, one of the most famous frames from Spider-Man in terms of a comic is him lifting machinery in the water to get out from under like collapsing rubble. And I'm sure if just from that description alone, you could find the picture I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's kind of like, even without having to be like a massive Spider-Man uber fan or anything. The thing is, if I'm remembering this correctly, that's either a Green Goblin or Jackal story.
It's Green Goblin.
But even then, it's kind of like, that's probably the most famous Spider-Man imagery, because it's literally a case of like, I have to get out of here, otherwise everyone else will die. And he's like, he's half drowning, he's got big heavy machinery on him. It's him like lifting up, like fucking power lifting it. It's like, yeah, go for it. And that's brilliant. Never used it once in any of the films.
Yeah.
Not a single one, no.
No. And it's like, that is probably the most famous image. Okay, there's more there's more iconic things people remember.
There is similar imagery, especially in that final scene in the first film with Tobey Maguire when he fights in the broken building, and then it's like the torn mask.
And or jumping
out of the way and him killing himself by accident. I've definitely seen that framed in a sort of classic.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's
But
like,
that has echoes of that famous shot you're talking about.
yeah.
Um,
Actually, I have to say,
so
very brief.
Rhymes within rhymes.
it's circles. We're in a circle.
I have to say, as a brief aside, unrelated to all of this, my favourite picture of Spider-Man ever is a picture by John Romita Jr.
Yeah.
And it's Spider-Man in the rain on top of a rooftop. He's like standing he's like crouched on the chimney thing, like hunched over a little bit, like a bit like a gargoyle.
Yeah.
But it's like Spider-Man
I
pose.
know the one.
And it's most of it is blacked out, but you get there's like a flash of lightning in the background, so you get like a bit of the shading, so you can see it's clearly the Spider-Man costume. It's clearly Spider-Man, but it's kind of like if you imagine Batman and Spider-Man crossed over, or like a Batman artist drew Spider-Man. That's what this picture is, and it looks absolutely fucking amazing.
Quality picture.
It's kind of I was on the cover of the first Spider-Man comic I ever bought, literally on the basis of that cover.
Part of the Ben Reilly clone story?
I don't know, but it was attached
because
to.
I know that there's a Ben Reilly picture, the Ben Reilly Spider-Man, a picture like that. I'm not sure if it's.
I'm sure there is. It's like this was attached to.
Because Ben Reilly was really violent. By comparison, because he was the clone of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But he was a much more like Punisher-esque Spider-Man. He really was like brutal.
He was the third.
And then eventually, I can't remember how the storyline plays out, but that was one of my earliest experiences of Spider-Man. Is that story?
One of my that particular cover was attached to the Moreland stuff when he first appeared. I can't remember what that story was called, but that is like Peter Parker versus like basically someone of Hulk level strength who's specifically trying to kill him and do nothing else.
Is it that one?
It's black on my screen here, so I can't see.
I think
okay.
It's sweet time.
It's
there we go. Yes.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. But yeah.
I can't remember if I think underneath it is a much bigger Spider-Man, a spider symbol, on his chest. But I can't. But it definitely is the image.
They've obviously adapted it.
And they've used it.
That one there. Can you see where my mouse is?
No. Hang
on. Scroll down. That one there. Hang on, scroll up. Stop. You see that one with the fiery orange background?
That's the Ben Reilly Spider-Man.
Next to it with the lightning in the background.
This one.
That one there. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the image. That's the one.
Amazing Spider-Man
because that one's fucking brilliant. That's a brilliant image. Actually, what? Hang on.
This is where it tells us what storyline it's.
Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2. So yeah, that's part of the Moreland stuff. But yeah, that is I love that. That is my favorite. That's my favorite Spider-Man image because it's kind of like it's him being a creepy ass spider or being a badass superhero.
Which is like ideal. That's what you want from him, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Spider-Man's supposed to be a daytime superhero rather than nighttime.
Yeah.
He's not grim, dark, or anything like that. He's like, no, I'll stop the weird costume creeps in the middle of the day. Ha ha.
Brightly coloured costume.
Yeah.
What do you expect us to wear? Yellow spandex? Oh no, we're getting on to X-Men.
That's X-Men. Oh god, Logan. Have you seen Logan?
Yes.
That Logan. That film's amazing.
That's just. But it's fucking depressing.
But there's no reason to watch it again.
No, you can't.
Really. No, it's a one and done. I'm not. I've watched it. It was good. There's some wicked action in it, but it's going to be years before I watch it again.
To be fair.
Yeah.
And it has been years. I've not watched it.
I have watched it.
Playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Times. The third time was fairly recently.
Fair enough.
And the third time, it's kind of like the first time I watched was just the first time we watch it because that's what happens. And then it appears on Disney Plus or whatever.
And you kind of sit down
and you see that. Oh, I remember liking that. Let's watch it again. And you watch it and you enjoy it. I watched it about a month ago again, so it's the third time, and it was literally a case of like, this film is actually really good as a finale to all the X-Men film.
Yeah.
Like, it's like there's
In
enough
that
hints.
timeline, it makes sense.
Like, there's enough hints to what happens to the other X-Men.
Yeah.
Like basically, Charles Xavier went mental and killed them with his psychic powers.
Yeah.
That's
And
why he's fucking loopy in that movie.
it's loopy. That's why Logan's the only one still alive.
Yeah.
Really kill him.
You can't really kill him.
Yeah.
But Logan's basically dying of old age and like adamantium poisoning.
It's kind of a bit like Big Boss and Zero, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like that sort of symbiotic relationship.
Devastate your toilet.
Go devastate my toilet. Go for it.
Devastation.
But yeah, it's like the Spider-Man stuff, and it pisses me off a little bit with what they're doing with him more recently, because it's kind of like I thought they hit a really good spot with some of the Dan Slott run,
Yeah.
where Spider-Man actually had his life together.
Yeah, actually had his shit together for once, didn't he?
It's kind of like, okay, up to that point, he was basically still taking photos as a freelance person, making shit for money. He had been married, but was now divorced.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't really going anywhere.
Yeah.
His life was spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, thanks to the Dan Slott run, he basically got a job at a science lab.
Okay.
And he was like one of like their top 6 researchers,
Yeah.
or like lab scientists, and was like using things he'd created for his use of Spider-Man.
Which makes sense because that's like what Peter Parker would do, though, isn't it? He put his fucking brain to the test.
Yeah, it's like he fought. I can't remember exactly what the story was, but he fought like a Venom style villain where it's like sound waves and stuff.
Okay.
He used that to invent soundproof headphones.
Oh, okay. So something to be put into society.
So it's like, oh yeah, so this is a new kind of soundproof headphone that the lab released, and it's like, yeah, so I've created like this amount of money for the lab, so I've got this amount of money as paychecks, and boom,
Yeah.
he's not rolling in it, but it's like, that's
Making
good money for him.
A tidy profit. Yeah.
So he's like, wow, me being Spider-Man's paid off.
Yeah, for
And
once.
they were going for it for a while, and then they did the whole Superior Spider-Man story, which I would argue could be a really, really good MCU film if you could get Robert Downey Jr. back.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been talking about that for quite a while, haven't they? But I don't know whether it's going to be, whether he's going to be in that story, but just bringing him back in general.
Well, he said he won't come back, but here's my pitch for the thing, right? The Superior Spider-Man story is that Doc Ock takes over Spider-Man's brain and body, and then thinks
that's it. Yeah, he's Doc Ock. Yeah.
Yeah. So Doc Ock is running around in Spider-Man's body, but with Spider-Man's memories, and thinks, well, you know what? I can be a good guy, and I can do it better. I am superior.
Right.
Hence the title.
Indeed. Yeah.
Only to realise towards the end that it's like, no, I'm overthinking this because I'm thinking too much. I'm not being how Spider-Man should be.
Yeah.
And thus gives the body back to Peter Parker.
Okay, because he's more about instinct than actually like thinking too much. Yeah.
You see all the steps going through because it's like 40 odd issues.
Yeah.
But it's like a 2-year-long run. But it's really good because all the stuff you see him do makes sense if you're thinking about it. It's like, oh, why doesn't Spider-Man do that? Why doesn't Spider-Man do that? Why doesn't Spider-Man do that?
Yeah, you're questioning him.
Yeah. And then it's like, there's one issue, it's like issue like 6 or 7, it's like relatively early on, where it's like, haha, well, thanks to my implementation of little spider bots that have cameras in them, I have reported 21 more crimes to the police than I would have caught normally on my own.
Otherwise, yeah.
My patrol route, I've caught another 4 crimes in progress. I have done more good in one night thanks to my implementation of my knowledge and Spider-Man's powers than Spider-Man would have done on his own.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't argue that.
Yeah, that's why you're superior then. Yeah.
But it's like, if you're going to make this MCU style, it's like, okay, you don't really have Doc Ock because Alfred Molina, I'm going to say God bless his soul, he's not dead. He's amazing.
He's still knocking about. But
it's like, rather than trying to introduce him or a new version of that character into the MCU, who's died recently? Tony Stark.
Tony Stark, yeah.
Who could you say could want to come back and be oh well, I could be a better Spider-Man because I'm in a body now that's got superpowers, and people know that I'm smart, so I can just be smart in your body.
Yeah.
And have it fuck up. Tony Stark in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It
No,
writes
mate, that's a
itself.
good pitch.
It's a good pitch for a film. All
Yeah.
you would need is like, maybe a little bit of Robert Downey Jr. doing a bit of voiceover. He wouldn't have to be physically there, just literally in a sound booth for a day or two, recording some lines.
Yeah, just give him a boatload of money, he'd be fine.
Yeah, it wouldn't even have to be that much money because it's just voice work.
True.
But even then, it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I transferred my brain into your body so I could take over. I'm not trying to be a dick here, but I think I could do a better job than you are. And
yeah, right now, considering the shit that you've left the place in.
Yeah, and it's like, you could just picture it so like, I don't want to be dead anymore.
Yeah.
And it's
unfinished business.
Yeah, you could write that and it would still make sense with Tony Stark as that sort of person. It would still work. It'd be a great film. It'd be a great story. And you could still do Superior Spider-Man in a good way. And it would make more sense for Tony Stark to relinquish the body back to Peter Parker at the end.
Yeah. And then he could actually have a chance to actually say goodbye to Pepper properly as well.
It's like, this is your body, not mine. You're doing a better. You could do a better job of this than I could. You've shown me you could through just you talking to me while I'm like trying to pilot your body while you're talking to me in the background. Done.
Yeah.
Works.
I like it. You heard it here first, Nerdaholics.
It's like that's my pitch.
Pay us money, cunts.
The thing is, Dan Slott, who wrote that story, he's knocking about in Marvel still. You own him.
Yeah, exactly.
You could do that story quite easily.
Yeah, sort that shit out.
And it's just like, you wouldn't even have to go, it's not even that. Actually, one thing I do want to say, right? I know we touched on Spider-Man Clone Wars stuff briefly.
Yeah.
The clone stuff. The third version of the Scarlet Spider, Kane.
Yeah.
Fucking brutal. Love him. He needs to be in a comic, or he needs to come back in a film.
Well, they keep doing. They're sort of going all the way with Miles Morales at the moment. It's like, come on, man. He's good in that, but let's move it on a bit.
If you could do Kane, because Kane is the imperfected clone of Peter Parker.
Right. Okay.
When you first see him, he's got hairy hair, like big old hair, big old beard, but his powers are like ×3 on top of what normal Spider-Man has.
Okay.
But his DNA's fucked up.
So okay. So he's imperfect sort of thing. Yeah.
So he's more likely to get sick and get ill or whatever, but he's 3 times stronger than normal Spider-Man.
Right. So it's got pros and cons. Pros and cons.
But then they did a storyline back in the early 2000s called The Other.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Kane came back. No, sorry, hang on. No, it's not The Other. It was something after that. But basically, Kane comes Spider Island. That's
okay. Yeah, I've heard. It rings a bell.
He comes back and helps. Basically, everyone in New York gets Spider-Man powers. Because of a weird virus.
Yeah.
Everyone gets cured except Peter Parker, because obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
And then, but Kane comes back, and he was like a remnant of the clone comics, because it's like as like a weird little extra thing. Yeah. But then he goes off afterwards with a spare Spider-Man costume, and he ends up living in Texas.
Amazing.
And it's like, it basically kind of like he gets like a slight reboot where he doesn't have spider sense, but he gets all the other powers.
Okay, and he's just swinging around Texas doing his thing.
He's swinging around Texas doing his thing, and it's like, but he's in a new Scarlet Spider costume where it's like just black and red.
Right, nice.
It looks baller as fuck,
yeah.
And the thing is, he basically flat out says like, look, with how the genetics worked and how they manipulated me, I'm nowhere near as smart as my clone or the people I'm cloned from.
Yeah.
But I know I'm stronger and I know I can help, so I want to. And it's like Scarlet Spider stuff, because he even has a team up with Wolverine and Deadpool. He has a team up with.
Oh, that would be amazing.
He has a storyline called Minimum Carnage, where he goes into the quantum realm and fight with Venom and fight Carnage on the quantum realm. And it's like, that's brilliant.
Oh, sorry, I wouldn't go in there for a little while.
he's left his mark.
Going there.
Yeah, go in there. It just smells.
Okay, if I don't come back in 5 minutes, I'm dead. Hey, if it was a wank, you'd bloody well know it.
God knows what that toilet's going to smell like now when he's done with it as well.
Oh man, it's rancid. I'm sorry.
Did you have a good lunch then?
Yeah, it was nice. I got to see Al and Roxy. So.
Yeah, well, that's good.
But yeah, no, the moment I said I was working at the Natural History Museum, my brother was like, "What, like in the Relic?"
Yeah.
It's a movie I haven't seen for a very long time. Yeah, no, just like the Relic.
Yeah,
it's really bad describing the premise to Alex at work, and I was like, "Yeah, it's all about this thing that they find and it mimics people," and I was like, "Oh no, that's the mimic." Oh, and then literally I looked at the year they both came out in 1997.
Oh, of course.
I was like, oh, no wonder. Like, I've got the premise of the Relic and the mimic mixed up, but they are actually, they did come out the same year. So, but the premise of the Relic is that they bring something into the museum and then something comes back to life.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, fits. It will be my job.
That was quick.
But I don't know what you did to my bath mat on the floor, you dirty bastard.
Or did you wipe his ass with it?
It was sprinkled on the side.
Really?
How dare you walk on it and not put it back straight when you're finished?
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I know. That's why you're in proper house guest.
Oh, okay.
If we were in the Downton Abbey times, this would be.
I thought you were worried like I pissed on it or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is Ellie leaving his mark on her mark.
Yeah, when Nob just stepped through the gap between the seat and the toilet and was everywhere.
Oh, please, I've done that. I do it all the time. I'm pretty confident I could write a Spider-Man TV show for Disney Plus or Netflix or Amazon.
I'm sorry, mate. 1994 cartoon. I mean, that was amazing.
It was amazing. It finished one series too early. If they did like,
I might get my way through it. I know it's as good as I remember it when I was a kid.
It's better than I remember when
I'm now noticing all the references, obviously, because at the time they could use all the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
So he talks about the Avengers.
Yeah.
And the X-Men and like other things, and you're just kind of like, he's made a joke about other Marvel characters. I was like, that's really cool. And that's within the first like episode he's doing it. Like, oh yeah, the Avengers don't have to climb in the sewers. I was like, that's so cool. And then obviously villains all have like really good one-liners, like oh fuck, I have rights. You have rights. You have rights to get shot in the face. And so I was like, yeah.
I was like, this is why I love the first Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 1.
Because it's so much that cartoon.
Oh no, I think it's the same voice actor as well.
Find out, Parker. No, you are right. It is the same voice actor.
It's like, he's like, okay, Spider Lad, go and stop the plane. Oh wait, yeah, I'm on my own. I'll just do everything then. I love that. That's the second one though. That's two games. The Spider-Man games on the PlayStation, first PlayStation, both brilliant.
Yeah, awesome.
Spider-Man 2 was probably the best superhero game
on
for a long time.
The PlayStation 2 one?
Yeah, the PlayStation 2.
Yeah,
that's quality because you were in the whole of New York. Really fucking difficult to play, but it was amazing.
Well, it's the first time where they got the roof ceiling for webbing done properly.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like in the first Spider-Man game, you just web anywhere, even as you're clearly above the skyline.
Yeah.
Just
webbing clouds at that point.
It was a bit.
And now with Spider-Man 2, it's like, okay, you can only go as high as the buildings. They got the height right.
And then that wouldn't be beaten until like Arkham Asylum.
Now, Arkham Asylum is still my favourite superhero game.
I would say it was until Marvel Spider-Man came out.
And I'll be honest, I will give Marvel Spider-Man, but it pisses me off because of how it shouldn't say it pisses me off. it just annoys me because I know the comics from, and I know where they're doing the whole Mr. Negative and the Blood Mist. The Blood Mist stuff from the comics was literally a case of it's a genetic thing. So the idea is if you've got the same blood as or similar enough blood to the blood they've taken, that's why you'll die from it or get ill, die from it. Right. Okay. The new Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 4. Yeah.
Spider-Man with Miles Morales.
Miles Morales is in it, but not the spin-off. That's the DLC thing. It's just PlayStation 4 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the one that's on PlayStation 5.
Well, it's on that as well, I think, but no.
Yeah, but there's the Miles Morales Spider-Man came out on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, came on PlayStation.
Actual game.
Yeah.
That's kind of
cool. So that's the sequel. That is the sequel to it. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I have played that Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm back in the room.
Cool. It's fine.
I've obviously a bit too much. And I was like, wrong out.
Well, that's finished, mate.
Sorry, I'm not touching anymore. I'm all right. I'll be fucking having to crawl.
There's like playthroughs I'd done ages ago. There's really dodgy sound at first, but then it gets better as it goes on.
Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 is one of the few games I've actually got every single trophy in platinum.
Yeah.
Before they ended up with adding more, and then I don't have all of them anymore. Platinum, so it doesn't matter.
Like, the backpacks were like the Riddler trophies, weren't they? It was just like, oh god, how many more of these fucking things do I need to get?
Meteorite shards.
Yeah. I think the whole Blood Mist thing, the whole idea in the comics, the whole thing was Mr. Negative was trying to get rid of the mafia, so he came up with this ancient Chinese recipe for like murdering people by gas, but you needed a sample of their blood.
Yeah.
Because it was anyone who shares.
The demons.
Yeah.
They sucked that. I hated that.
Yeah. So in the comics, it was literally a case of if you're like genetically related or genetically similar to whoever died, whether you intentionally are or not, you'll die
as well.
Yeah.
Like Fox died.
Like Fox died.
Yeah.
So in the comics, it's like a few people died, but like you're talking like 30 or 40 people rather than like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Whereas in the game, it's like, oh, the whole of New York is being swept by this plague. It's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how Demon's Blood works. And this is the thing. I get sometimes I get weird about this, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get weird about this whole. I get a bit like really quite tetchy about like little details. It's like, no, that doesn't work like that. If you tried to tell me that the Death Star could suddenly blow up 7 or 8 planets in one go, fucking Disney Star Wars, I'd be
fuck you.
Yeah, I'd get pissed off about it.
What Star Killer is?
Yeah, it's kind of like no. It's how does one gun turn into a scatter shot and actually hit all its targets?
Yeah, I know.
If there's like 50 blasts going out and 5 planets got hit, fair enough. It's a fucking shotgun in space. I'll go with that. But that's not what you're doing.
No, to be fair, that was the least of that fucking franchise's problems. But yeah,
that film's problems. Yeah. And that's where we're going.
It was still stupid.
I mean, I remember you having an argument once about to ban a gas, and it's a made-up gas. I will do whatever I wanted to do. Yeah,
I know, and it's like. In retrospect, some of my arguments have been silly.
But that was amazing, that argument.
But at the same time, it's like, look, come on. If you're not going to respect your own fucking law, then what's the fucking point?
Why should anyone else? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then they started to add kyber crystals. And
the thing is, I could accept kyber crystals quite easily, because it's like, okay, it's a focusing lens that you shoot the laser through
use it as focusing lens.
They're talking
use it as like some power source.
Well, exactly. That's where the problem is.
That's what I mean. If they had like a team of polish, even if they were I've just improved an already amazing TV series. Imagine they weren't making like little struts to make the Death Star.
Yeah.
They were polishing kyber crystals.
Well, maybe that's Andor season 2.
Actually, really good.
It works just as well. You're still going to be like, why are they polishing?
What's all this shit?
You still would have been like, I still don't know what the fuck they're doing.
There's like 7 cannons that go into the one focusing lane. That goes one focusing beam that goes out to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
So it's like, and each one of those focusing things is the size of a town.
All those focusing crystals in
Fucking Rebels.
Of Force Unleashed. I mean, I know it's not canon anymore, which is a good thing. Yeah, I'm still annoyed that Foss's face with the one arm in Jedi Survivor, as spoilers, isn't fucking Starkiller.
The thing is, as far as I'm concerned,
I like Star. I am enjoying it, but that one bit was my kooky theory. I thought, oh, this is their chance to actually bring back Starkiller. That's not Starkiller.
Kooky theory of the week.
As far as I'm concerned, everything from old canon, from Legends, including games and whatever, is still canon until it's proved otherwise.
Because they keep just bringing stuff back anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's supposedly what they're doing with
it's like Kevin Feige just been like, you know what? Let's just use that bit from Legends. Oh, okay.
This is why I don't like Dave Filoni. I've gone to the point where I don't like Dave Filoni doing Star Wars anymore now.
Because he keeps just ripping the bits that were already really good.
He takes the bits he wants from Star Wars without the context. So it's like they're building up to the whole Grand Admiral Thrawn, Heir of the Empire, but they're not doing it the right way. And they're doing the problem. I say not the right way, not the way that was originally canon. Because they want to do their own stuff.
They're having to do the fixing of the end of Rebels.
Yeah, but
because obviously he's disappeared off to the fucking outer reaches with the waves.
That's what he did. That's what he did anyway. Well, the thing is, Grand Admiral Thrawn went off to the unknown regions, and he just didn't come back. And he came back 5 years after the end of Return of the Jedi, saw the Empire in shambles, and started trying to fix it. And that's the beginning of Heir of the Empire.
Yeah.
And it's like
so they only ever so slightly changed that story. Yeah. It's been a bit longer than that.
You could do everything else exactly the same way, and it would be fine. But again, you'd have to use young Luke, young Leia, young Han, and they don't want to use Han or they don't want to use Luke because apparently, Luke's a bad role model for people.
Is he?
Apparently, according to Disney, because they fucking hate him. Everyone said from the very beginning, if you did the Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy of books from Timothy Zahn as your sequel trilogy, everyone would love it, everyone would accept it, there'd be zero issues. Yeah. Maybe a couple of issues from like some purists or whatever for not adapting it properly, but it's
you're always
like you.
Yes, it probably would be. I'd probably be the dickhead saying like, "No, I didn't do that right." Han, Luke, and Leia dealing with a new kind of villain because it's like you got the Emperor.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we're all talking retrospectively. We all know who to blame for that.
Yeah,
it's George Lucas.
Yes, he shouldn't have sold. He shouldn't have sold Star Wars. He
should have made a sequel a lot earlier than he did.
Yeah. Should have.
And it shouldn't have been a prequel.
It should have made the prequels.
none of us needed the prequels. The prequels don't need to exist. What we wanted was Luke being a badass and what happened in Return of the Jedi.
We already had the story idea of how Darth Vader became Darth Vader anyway. We didn't film about it.
No, there's no disagreeing. We didn't need the prequels. This shit.
First of all
of them are shit.
No. One and two.
Objectively, all of them are shit. They are all worse than Return of the Jedi, and Return of the Jedi is not great.
Revenge of the Sith is the same level. It's not better than Return of the Jedi. No. Fuck
you're
you.
wrong.
Fuck you and
you're
your
wrong.
dick.
You're wrong.
Fuck you.
I would say Revenge of the Sith is the best of the bad bunch, but there's still problems.
That's like saying diarrhea is better than like a solid turd.
Well, no, solid turd's definitely better than diarrhea.
Solid turd's way more satisfying. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Especially that self-wiping.
No, you shoot straight out of you.
They're both uncomfortable. Let's put it that way.
Okay. No, there's nothing better than having like you can feel it and then it just comes out and you're like
perfect Cumberland sausage.
Yeah. Whereas diarrhea is kind of like you're never quite sure.
You can say all like about lightsaber fights are so much more better.
No, it's not even that. It's not even like lightsaber fights.
And no one really cares
the story.
about Vader's background. I couldn't care less. I didn't watch Star Wars and go, I want to know what happens to why Darth Vader's the way he is. No, he's just a dickhead. And then eventually he actually sees the light towards the end because of all the events. Yeah. It's a much better story.
If you had just Revenge of the Sith, I fully agree with you. Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
Dogshine.
Yeah. I fully agree with you there. That's not an issue.
I still have issue with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
I still have major issues with it because it's terrible.
It's not terrible.
I find it really hard to
Okay,
fucking
right.
watch.
What would
I
you?
find all the prequels really hard
Yeah,
to
yeah,
watch.
no.
I would only watch Revenge of the Sith if I'm watching like if I'm doing a marathon, I'll be like, right, I'll just watch the end of Revenge of the Sith, going straight into A New Hope, and that's it.
The best way to watch Revenge of the Sith is watch that. I know it's going to sound really bad, but you know, at the beginning of Kenobi, that nice little like montage bit of all the prequels in that one, like 10-minute segment just before you watch Kenobi. Brilliant, rounds up. It actually makes the prequels look watchable, and then you watch them. And no, they're not watchable at all.
But then you watch Kenobi and you're like, oh, this is bollocks as well.
I'm not being funny, but we were robbed of the sequels we should have had.
Right. Definitely, yes. We should have had sequels, and it should have been better. At the
Should
same
have had Leia and Luke on screen, and they didn't.
One of the conversations I've had, and I'm sure I've said this to yourself, Mr. Sean,
Probably.
is the best thing that they could have done for the sequels. Like, forget Disney influence. Just imagine if it's a perfect world. Is to do the Yuuzhan Vong.
Oh yeah.
Because the idea here is, right, in the prequels, you have the good guys in charge, the bad guys take over. In the original trilogy, you have the bad guys in charge, the good guys take over.
Yeah.
And in the sequel trilogy, if you have the Yuuzhan Vong, external force from outside the galaxy,
brings those two together.
Good guys and bad guys have to work together to stop an external evil force.
Which is what the Emperor was like preparing for with the Death Star.
Yeah.
It's just what I thought Snoke could have been. But that didn't turn out to be the case.
Yeah.
Fucking don't even talk about the don't talk about that shit. I fucking have problems with those movies.
I have finally watched all of Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, it's dreadful.
It's the worst thing I have watched in a long while.
I just watched Lawler's 5 hours.
Trying to patch up holes with like mashed potato instead of using fucking plaster of Paris. It's one of them ones.
Here's a hole in my thermonuclear reactor. Here's mashed potato in the crack at the fucking cylinder.
Sure. You know all those problems that were created by Johnson? Yeah, we'll just put some mashed potato over those holes.
Yeah, here I am standing at ground zero at fucking Chernobyl, and here I'm building plasters. Hands burnt off. It's a plaster. That's what they're doing. It's what it is. Milk. It's milk.
Like that.
Your burning ring piece.
Yeah, it's like it's just if you okay, you don't have to do the whole Yuuzhan Vong series because that's like 21 books, and quite frankly, only like 4 of them are good. And even then, that's debatable.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's kind of like you know, having what were the good guys and the bad guys working together, reconciling their differences. This is democracy. This is fascism. We're militarists, which can help you, but we need to have peaceful ways of working together. How do we fight a zealous religious force that believes in pain, suffering, and death beyond everything else? It's like
back to the whole White Walker discussion we had earlier.
It does. It's like there's one conversation in one of the book at the beginning of one of the books, and it's like there's 2 Yuuzhan Vong talking like, okay. So who's more courageous, the god of courage or just an average Yuuzhan Vong warrior? Like, well, what do you mean? Well, the god of courage is obviously an aspect of courage, so he will never be scared. But the Yuuzhan Vong warrior, who's always potentially going to be scared, in theory is going to be more courageous because they're overcoming their courage.
Yeah.
They're overcoming their death. And it's like, and that sort of thing exemplifies what you're talking about perfectly, because it's kind of like they truly believe in what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, they're just believing, and that's kind of like, you know, and that's how you could sell these guys as ultimate bad guys. They're genuinely believing
their ideas are bulletproof.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, in the books you tone down the things like the mass genocide that they're doing, the whole human sacrifice or alien sacrifice that they're doing all the time because they're fucking insane. Yeah. And they worship pain to the point where they torture themselves and cut themselves because they worship their gods that way.
Pain.
Yes, they're necromongers from Chronicles of Riddick.
Fucking, I haven't seen that in a while.
What you kill.
You keep what you kill.
Keep what you kill, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's that, but aliens and a bit more religious and over the top.
What happened to Carl in that series?
He took over Because at the beginning,
and then disappeared into the.
Well, because at the beginning of the third film, Riddick, he basically
you see him, don't you? And but he flies into the underworld.
He flies into the underverse. But yeah, he doesn't actually kill Riddick. He just shoots the crate. He shoots the block he's standing on, so he falls into the crater. And then Riddick spends however long on that fucking desolate planet on his own.
I didn't see the third one.
That third film's the best.
It's not that. The first.
No, the first one's the best one.
The first one. Well, I mean, I can only talk about the first two because I haven't seen the third one. But the first one.
Yeah, the first one's.
First one's the best one. The third one is the next best one. Not maybe that far behind. It's a bit of a remake.
I don't hate the second one. It's just not very good.
It just doesn't feel like it's a follow-up to the first one.
Yeah,
that's the problem. The first one.
I'm not sure what they were trying to do in the second one.
The first film, Pitch Black, is very much just like a random sci-fi. It's a little horror film that's just
like a standalone thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be related to anything else. It's like the only gimmick to Riddick at that point is like he's a serial killer
and he's been
who can see in the dark.
Yeah,
and he's been brought in, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like he's
that's
like
it.
Probably Vin Diesel's best movie.
Yeah, you can even tone down him. You can even tone down him being able to see in the dark. He's just a serial killer who knows how to survive in weird situations.
Yeah,
it's like that's it. And then the second film comes out, and it's all a whole sci-fi thing. It's like
the bus. Yeah, they turn it into a space opera.
It turns into a space opera.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, "Is this even like the same story? Like the same character? What's going on?"
Character, but it's the whole like you need evil to fight evil, and then he's like a Furion.
He's now
what
Furion.
The hell is this all destiny bullshit going on here?
The next one would rip his soul out of his body, but it just gets so angry, his soul goes back into his body, and it's like, ah! It's like, okay.
And he just happens to use Carl Urban's betrayal just at the right time to stamp. What's his face? I don't want to say Stanis Baratheon. It's not.
No, it's someone else.
But it looks like him.
Yeah.
But then it's I can't remember the lady's name, but she's in a few things. The girl who was Jack, but now
Rock and Roller.
Yeah.
Oh, what Sienna Miller?
Yes.
Yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, well, I thought I could be a mercenary, but then I got slaved out, and now here I am.
Oh no, different actress. Sorry, I always thought you were talking about Carl Urban's like.
Oh right, yeah, I see. Right. Yeah.
No, this is in the second film.
What, the teenage?
No. Carl Urban's character of the Necromancer.
Oh no, that's
Tandy Newton. Yeah. So I thought that's who you were on about. No, you're on about. Yeah, you're on about the other character who wants to like emulate him, and.
Judi Dench was in the second film.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, what the fuck was that all about?
Do you know what? I like in that film. It feels like He-Man.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I should less said about that cartoon than that.
Oh God.
No. The original 80s cartoon, the original 80s cartoon was amazing. I don't know what you're talking about. There's been nothing since.
Okay, I'll stick by that.
Kevin Smith hasn't done anything.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
There was the 90s cartoon that was almost good. It had some good moments, but wasn't that amazing.
Yeah.
But then nothing has happened since the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Okay.
No, nothing at all.
Deleted.
We're not going to scratch that.
No. Okay. The thing is,
I'll leave that one in.
I only ever watched the first episode. I enjoyed it up until the last 3 minutes, and then I was like, "No, they were right. Everyone was right about this."
She-Man.
And they killed He-Man. It was just like
She-Man.
Not even interested.
Yeah.
You watch He-Man, and then they made that argument. They were like, "Well, they've got He-Man, and well, at least you got She-Man,
It's called He-Man.
They was usually like, "Oh, you got He-Man." Like, oh, okay. Well, if you're going to steal She-Ra, fair enough. But then now they've stolen He-Man. So I was like, well, fuck it. Eat your cake and just devour everything.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
It's called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And then you're like, oh, it's called Masters of the Universe. Okay, so you can do all the Masters of the Universe then, and just not He-Man, who he's playing the lesser part. Fair enough, I could live with that if you do it right. It's like, but no, it's just the She-Ra show.
Yeah. Kevin Smith jumped on the woke train.
I mean, their son's just like, and you are bitching and moaning
You're bitching to a grieving mother about how you've been.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, but what about me? You fucking narcissist.
Oh my fuck me.
But that's what those cunts in Hollywood are like now. They're just like, it's all about me. Nah, fucking.
Toxic personality. Toxic personality.
Kevin Smith has earned enough credit with me that I will forgive him for this, but he's burning his credit.
No. He
I
fucked it. Absolutely fucked it.
Oh yeah, no, he fucked it.
I don't think I've watched any Kevin Smith stuff since.
Oh no.
I've not even gone back, and I do enjoy his early stuff, but I just think what he's become. It's like, hang on a minute, you might as well have just taken your pants down and just shat all over your passport.
Yeah, pretty much. He's become exactly what he was fucking like, supposed to be like the young sung hero for back in the day. Now he's just a fucking shill for Hollywood now, and it's sad.
I wanted to do something new and inspirational, and you're like, no. You just basically took we'll make a different cartoon. This is my main issue with everything we've been complaining about.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to make that TV series, go ahead and make that TV series as an original idea. Oh no, unfortunately, you don't have an original idea in your own fucking body, so you've got to go and get someone else's and then go, I'm going to start putting all this fucking modern shit in there. And you're going to go, great, well, but unfortunately, the sad part of it is they know that won't make any money.
Exactly. That's the whole reason.
Stick a label that people will go, oh, what? Oh, I haven't seen a lot of Lord of the Rings TV series. Oh, yeah, I want to sit down and watch that. Oh, but they're not going to do Tolkien. Oh.
And the sad thing is, even if they said, like, right, let's just do
Who. Let's not even go there.
Let's take someone else's IP and make a show about it and make it work. It's like, you know what? I'm sure you could. I'm sure there's a way you could do it. But at the same time, yeah.
I just think you've got to pick. You've got to pick the right show for it.
Yeah.
I was watching a video.
Here's a challenge: pick a TV series that you think that would work.
Rings of Power. Rings of Power, you could make woke and still make it work and fit in with Tolkien's lore.
Like 7.
Boom, he's got it. It's the one. It's the one thing I can think of.
Shut you 10.
What?
Go on, go on. It was 7 then. Come on.
Okay, it was already progressive in the first.
It was quite woke anyway. Yeah.
So dealing with like a totalitarian government.
Woke.
But a totalitarian government with a woman in charge. Already. You already have like a.
No. That's not woke, because a woman can't be in charge of a totalitarian government, and be evil.
Yeah, no. To be fair, women can't be seen to be.
It can be a bloke competent and a woman underneath him who's trying to make it work but failing, not because she's failing because she's bad, but because he won't let her succeed.
That actually works anyway. To be fair, in the first season, she's not top dog. She's obviously answering to the higher ups above her and still failing.
Yeah. Is she failing because she's bad?
Failing upwards. Another thing is it deals with all that. Hey! Well, you like that one. I thought I'd throw a bit of deadpool at you. Oh no, it's not. It's like Gary. It's Gary. Gary Goodspeed. Failing upwards. I'm gonna murder you. I'm gonna cut you.
I'm gonna burn your face off.
I'm gonna burn your face on.
That doesn't make sense.
I love that. I'm gonna murder your face on. Street meat, Anaconda. Street meat.
Street meat.
Do you have any? Oh no! Don't. Let's not scratch it.
No. Let's not scratch that wound. Final Space is the last good sci-fi I've watched in a long time.
But you can all the social justice stuff you can go would fit into that so well.
Yeah.
Because you've already got like this oppressive regime that's putting everybody down, and you could do all sorts with it, like play around with the propaganda as well. You really go to town. It's like it's a framework that would really, really work.
Yeah.
Without
being like too fucking preachy about it either.
That's the way to go with it.
Yeah. And The thing is,
and I'd argue they were already. I don't know. They were already doing it with that series.
Yeah.
Han Solo character was a woman.
Yeah.
Like Jenna's the pilot, and that would have archetypally been a man's role.
Yeah.
And no one really gets treated they're not treated lesser or more. They're all they have their important roles within the team.
Yeah.
And fight.
It's a ragtag bunch, but they kind of.
Anyway, the big fucking pussy of the group was fucking Villa. Who was like,
yeah.
I don't want to get shot out. He's like, no, Jack Coward. You've already got your, male shrill.
You useless man. Yeah.
Don't worry.
Let's suck it in.
I'm gonna love you and leave you, guys, because I'm gonna love you and leave you because it's fucking 1:20 and I've got work in the morning.
Technically, I'm working in the morning, but it's working from home, so I'm not going to count it.
Technically, I'm not working, so.
You don't care. I technically don't care.
Technically, no. There's no technically about it. Not working tomorrow.